The tape, let's grind. Shut up. The tape. Let's grind. The tape. We do a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
The tape.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach in the bench deep. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunker down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Film guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back, like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We do a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
Shut up.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the Film Guy Network on a fabulous Thursday evening. We got a loaded show for you guys, as we always do. Last show of the week, best show of the week. It's been a great one this week. We've done a tremendous amount of work with you guys, had a lot of laughs, had a lot of good takes, been firing off the film studies, firing off the film notes, firing off the live streams. We've had a great time with you guys tonight, and we got another great show for you guys planned. However, we are a man down, Christian.
Once again,
we are a man down. Unfortunately, Jonathan is at home with what he's calling food poisoning. Now, for the betterment of our show, Kirby, I am really hoping that it is indeed food poisoning. But I do have a fear. I have a fear going around, and this is a fear my wife put in my head this morning when I told her that Jonathan was up all night hugging a toilet. And this is the fear. What if it's not food poisoning? What if it's a stomach virus? After all, Jonathan's lovely wife does happen to work in a human petri dish, aka an elementary school.
Yeah.
I mean, what if what's going on with J. Will right now, hugging a bowl for about 24 hours, the wrong kind? What if we're just seeing what our lives are about to be in like 12 hours?
No, dude, we're fine.
You sure?
Dude, J. Will definitely had another late night gas station cheeseburger. He couldn't help himself once again, and that's where he is right now. And even so, besides, you have kids that are in elementary school. So it's like
I do.
You're exposed anyways.
I do. Kindergarten. I'm just hoping. I'm hoping it's maybe a self-inflicted wound. You know, he did show up into the studio the other day and here in Mom's basement, bragging about some homemade chicken spaghetti that he put the work in on.
It was like chicken pasta or something.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
maybe he gave a case of salmonella. Is that what it's called? Salmonella.
Salmonella. Yeah.
Maybe he got some of that going on. Hopefully. I mean, one can only hope that this is self-inflicted and not something that's going to get passed via tight quarters here in Mom's basement from J. Will to us. What if he's patient 0 here in Mom's stew?
We'll be fine, dude. Take your emergency, drink water, exercise.
I mean, not a bad player comp for J. Will here in the studio tonight.
He does look meek.
He does.
Malnourished.
Slightly.
Poor guy.
I hope you get better stretch. I hope you feel better stretch. Honestly, I hope you do. But we do have a great show for you guys planned tonight. We're going to look at what the biggest surprises were of the 2024 season. If you could change the outcome of one singular game, what would it be? College Football Hall of Fame inductees have been announced. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight. 24/7 apparently had time today. So we going to have time today on this network for something that 24/7 did today. We're going to set the props national title edition tonight, as well as play some of the better props, all right? We're going to get in on some of the action over there tonight. We're going to rank the uniform combos from the last 5 national titles. We got some opposing takes based off what was happening in pre-show planning.
Major clash
of takes on the uniforms. No shocker there. And what I'm most surprised or most excited about tonight, despite the fact that it is the last show of the week and the best show of the week and all that good stuff, we've got must-watch tapes tonight. I've got must-watch tapes on the national scene for every single college football fan that is watching tonight. You need to know about the football players we're going to watch in this national hour, all right? We're going to flip it over and do the same thing in the local hour for some must-have guys in the state of Georgia. But I want to start first and foremost by letting you go ahead and answer the question I know everybody's asking in the chat right now and watching this. Where in the hell do I get myself one of them certified ball knower shirts? I got the white version. He's got the black version. We got a gray version over there on the Rake Man. All right? Yeah. The Rake.
Okay.
The Rake.
I was making
the Rake Man. Okay. We got a link in the bio today. If you want to help us out, purchase some merch, you can go get in over there with our Shopify link in the bio today. We got a gray version of it. We got hats over there. Yeah, go ahead. We're going to take your money today over there. I want to give a quick shout out to our graphics department team that came up with this logo. Shit's kind of hot. I ain't going to lie to you. I like the little, what do you call this? The little cap.
Yeah,
the little graduation cap.
Yeah,
I like that on top of the helmet. I love the contrast with the red face mask as well. Some good shit going on over there. Speaking of good stuff, shout out to our friends over at Better. Nailed it. Shout out to our friends over at Better. If you're looking for a new place this season as it comes to a conclusion, all right, as we enter the heat of basketball season, as we enter the start of baseball season, as we enter some of these other sports that are more daily tuned action, head over to Better today. Use promo code Brooks. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $200 over there. Again, that's promo code Brooks over there on Better today. Make sure you are supporting those who support us. Before we get too far into today's show, there was some breaking news right before the show kicked off tonight, Kirby. It was announced today or at least reported today by Ross Dellinger, who's really, really tied into Washington, it seems. He's tied into all things college football. Used to be a Sports Illustrated guy. Big League just went Yahoo. Now he works for Yahoo, and he's doing a great job covering the House versus NCAA settlement and what basically the future of the landscape of college football is ultimately going to look like. And he announced today on Twitter that the Department of Education, the National Department of Education, passed a bill today essentially stating that name, image, and likeness will have to go through a bypass and have to be approved through Title IX. Okay, now what does that mean? That means apparently $20.5 million that are going to get approved via rev share annually to student athletes and allocated to student athletes will now have to go through Title IX, which means of that $20.5 million, 10.25's got to go to women. Here's my deal. I'm all for women's sports. Do not get me wrong. This just don't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me at all. All right. I was under the impression, and we had a lot of conversations out actually in New Orleans about this with a couple of people that are very, very high up and involved with actually going out to some of these schools and helping them prepare for what the next future of revenue sharing model is going to look like. And these two individuals that were very, very well spoken about House versus NCAA were basically laying out to us that schools were under the impression they were going to get to differentiate and allocate this money however they deemed fit, which makes the most sense, all right? Because not all of these schools are created equal. Not all of these sports are created equal. In fact, if you're looking at revenue-producing sports, it differs at every university. But what normally doesn't change is that there really only is like 1 or 2 sports at each of these schools that actually makes money. The rest of them lose a shitload of money. All right. And this ain't got really much to do with Title IX, because the men's tennis team loses just as much damn money out of the budget as the women's tennis team. In fact, I bet they're about tied, because from what I know about college athletics, most of those sports travel together. Don't the men and women's team travel together?
When it comes to tennis and stuff like that, yeah. They do.
All right. So most of these smaller, programs that are already losing money, all right, they're trying to squeeze the budget as much as they can. But all of that budget comes out of football at like a school like Georgia, at Ohio State. It comes all out of football. At Alabama, it comes all out of football. Maybe since Coach Oates has been there, they're starting to make some money. But for years and years and decades, these schools have been perennial losers on the budgets of these schools outside of football, who's going to be funding all of these. The TV contracts are going to be funding all of these $20.5 million revenue shares. It makes zero sense to me to just be like, yeah, we got to be fair. We got to cut it up. No, we don't. No, we don't at all.
Well, I think the most interesting thing about it is that we've gone a lot of places. We've talked with a lot of people, from very high ups to people in the same level as us. And those two individuals were one of the only people that we said, like, oh, they actually seem like they have somewhat of an idea.
Of a grasp on House versus NCAA and what's coming down.
Of what's going on here. And I would say even then, like, they're not 1,000% sure. And they even admitted that. They're like, we're kind of think this is where it's going to head, but we're not 100% sure. No one really knows what's going on. And I know that you have the tea leaves and the things that come out like this. Dude. Well, it's still not. It's a bill at this point.
I told you before the show, this makes zero sense to me. You would be way better off telling, all right, Title IX, fine. I'm all for athletes getting paid, but you'd be far better off for these schools at like Wake Forest. You'd be far better off for Wake Forest to say, hey, you have to give $20.5 million to your athletes. 10 and a quarter's got to go to the male athletes, and 10 and a quarter's got to go to the female athletes. Wake Forest would rather look at the NCAA and look at everybody and say, we're not going to be able to give these student athletes this money and be able to pay for women's sports. We'd be far better off allocating the $10.5 million to the men, and then and giving those student athletes the money. All right. And then for these women's sports, using that to fund the budget, because we just took a $20 million hit. Like, all of these budgets around college football are about to take a $20 million hit. And you're telling me I have to give half of that to sports that don't make money? That doesn't make, and even that, like, the other half of the 90% of men's sports don't make money. I just told you that. It's going to get labeled a Title IX issue, and people are going to label it a sexist thing, and it's men's and it's women's. No, it's not. It's bottom line budgets. And I tweeted about this today. If your sport makes money, your athletes get paid. If your sport doesn't make money, your athletes shouldn't get paid. That's simple. That makes the most simple and easiest sense about this in my mind. But I get called a capitalist and all kinds of this, and it turns into a political issue, and I don't want to go there. You know that.
Yeah, it's definitely a slippery slope when you talk about things like that. That's not just X's and O's and things like that. And to a certain degree, there is a sense of, if it's not going to make you money, why would you necessarily...
Oh, it's going to be a good night. It's going to be a good night.
Why would you necessarily put up the amount of money that you have to keep it running? But there is some sanctity and there is some, protection that I think college athletics should have in this regard. But it's trying to find the line of what's fiscally smart and responsible, and then what's the right thing to do here. I would hate to see, like you said, the tennis teams and the golf teams and the softball teams of the world take a major hit because of this, or get an unfair shake because they aren't necessarily revenue sports. But it's also like you said, you have to be responsible with your money here.
And look, man, like if I needed to squeeze $20 million out of a fiscal budget at Wake Forest, I think I could do it. I'm not, it's going to sound crazy, but I think I could squeeze some of this spending that a lot of these schools are doing. And again, I don't want to attack teachers, because teachers, athletic funding, you think it's totally different. I don't think it is. I looked it up today. I counted at multiple different universities, Kirby, more than a dozen professors, administrators, different people who work around the buildings of these universities making north of $500,000. These are public records. I'm talking about dozens of human beings making north of $500,000 in finer education. So there's a lot of budgets that have been inflated from football, and a lot of them are going to get cut, and you're going to have decision makers come out here and say, oh, well, because we have to pay this $20.5 million, we got to get rid of women's volleyball, instead of saying, hey, your salaries have been escalating like crazy for the last 15, 20 years, directly correlated and tied evenly to the picture and graph of the money that's been raised by football over the last 15, 20 years of college athletics. But hey, let's not point to those. Let's start cutting women's volleyball.
The other question, I think, and this is always kind of the go-to answer, the unspoken thing of just do it under the table. As far as football and athletics like that go. Is that possible?
I thought, honestly, if you were to allow these schools to allocate the $20.5 million wherever they want, schools like Georgia would take 16.5 of that. They'd pour it into football, and they'd call boosters to offset the $9 million that they're short of Ohio State's $25 million roster. You follow me? Yep. All right, that's what they would do. But if you call Georgia and you tell Georgia, hey, you can only spend $10.5 million on men's sports. Well, now I'm going to spend $7 million on football. And how in the hell am I going to make up the rest of the wage gap that now we already know some of these collectives have? And that's Georgia. All right. If you think you're Kentucky, right, and you're ever going to compete, and Kentucky's going to pour most of that into basketball because basketball makes a whole hell of a lot more money up at that school, I would imagine, than their football program even does. But you're getting into a whole goofy conversation about this when what it should be saying is, all right, $20.5 million, that's your payroll. Go allocate that however you want that deems best for your university. Not telling me I have to give it to a portion of the students and other portion of the students for equality and fairness. Now, again, not to get too political, this is a bill being passed as we're going through and transition in leadership. There are things that could change. All right. Mm-hmm. Let's get going. Let's talk about the biggest surprises of the 2024 season. Kirby, do you want to start here?
Yeah, there were a couple of them this year that was just like, it didn't. The thing that surprised me most, and this is a holistic thing, so many teams didn't seem like themselves. Now, there were a lot of changes in the offseason. Obviously, Nick Saban wasn't at Alabama. That was always going to be a thing where they didn't seem like themselves. But South Carolina, for one of the first times, was exciting and dangerous. You know, Georgia, like we said all year, was undisciplined. Ohio State was very modest through the regular season. And, you know, I know they've become what they've become in the playoff, but it was not the Ohio State that everyone's like, oh, God, here comes Ohio State. Obviously, Michigan was not what they were the last 3 years. Notre Dame was a very disciplined, very solid football team after excluding the NIU game, of course. Tennessee didn't have one of these high-flying, high-powered offenses that everyone feared. They were a very defensive, prominent team. Same thing with Texas. We've always labeled Texas as, you know, the Steve Sarkisian offenses that really give people problems. Texas's defense was one of the best in the country, and it dragged their offense throughout the season this year. So it felt like a lot of the teams where you say, okay, this is the team we have, this is the identity we kind of understand for them. It felt like a lot of those teams bucked those trends.
I got a top 5 with 2 OLIs.
I've got others too.
Okay.
I fully anticipate you making a list.
I'm going to rat-a-tat-tat this OLI in these top 5s. OLI number 1, Notre Dame and Riley Leonard being right here where they are on Monday night. I think we can all agree that's pretty daggum surprising.
For sure.
Riley Leonard being one of the main reasons that they are here. I think that's relatively surprising. OLI number 2, Bama losing to Michigan in the bowl game. I know bowl games don't seem to matter anymore, but not this season. Everybody opted in this season. There are no excuses for bad performances or anything like that for most of these football teams. Almost all of you had all of your starters, and you were fully healthy. In fact, Michigan had most of the people sitting out in that football game, and they came out flat and got whipped in the first 2 quarters of that football game. I was stunned. Number 5. Bama losing to Oklahoma. At this point, I think you're going to start noticing a trend. Bama losing to Oklahoma, number 5. Number 4, Georgia being an undisciplined football team was one of the bigger surprises to me in college football this year. It was relatively shocking to me. Number 3, Ohio State losing to Michigan was a stunner. An absolute shocker, even to the guy who is king anti-Will Howard deep state. Number 2, Colorado winning 9 games. Colorado winning 9 games going into a season where I don't think anybody picked them to win more than 6 on this network, at least. I don't want to call for anybody else's work. I think we all looked at the schedule preseason and we're like, hey, 6-6 will be a nice improvement on your 4-win year from a year ago. We'll see what you look like when you don't have NFL talent. That's what everyone said about them this year. They went on and win 9 games. Number 1, Bama losing to Vandy. Absolute shocker. Number 1 with a superstar next to it because I left it off. Will Howard being the reason that Ohio State looks like a Death Star. Shocking to this guy.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, we talked about it yesterday if the deep state had disbanded. But no, I was also, Colorado was one of my teams that kind of surprised me this year. I think the biggest thing that surprised me of all, though, and we talked about this a little bit last night too, Not a single SEC team lost less than 3 games this year. There was not one singular team where it was, they rose to the top or they rose to the occasion. We're in the national championship. No SEC teams are to be found. Every single team has 3 losses or more. The craziest thing about that, go with that stat, no one in the SEC got fired this year. Not a single coach. And there wasn't even a lot of movement. I don't think we had anyone take a different job elsewhere or say, I'm going to retire. Everyone that you started the year with your head coach is coming back. That's the craziest thing of all to me. Especially when we came into the season thinking, Shane Beamer, dead man walking. Sam Pittman, probably not great. Billy Napier, you're going to have a really tough road ahead, buddy. You're probably going to get fired throughout the year. Even Mark Stoops this year, where it was like, things aren't going great there. No one got fired. That was shocking to me. And then the last one I have is Notre Dame buttoning up after the NIU loss. We all made fun of them for what they did, and then they went out and just beat the hell out of everyone, and we kind of talked about it. I was like, yeah, they do this. This is what Notre Dame does. Just wait till they play, a team with a pulse. Just wait till they have to go up against real competition. Handled a test against Indiana. Now, granted, say what you want against Indiana. Handled Georgia, beat them, and then went into Penn State, won that game too. You can say whatever you want about those 3 opponents, but they're quality opponents, and they found a way to win. And I think that was very surprising to us.
Chat seems surprised about the fighting Kenny Dillingham's. Not this guy.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised about the Bama Vandy game either. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I don't know, man. Should we rehash your cowardice take?
Nah, dude.
I don't think we should.
Let me have the victory.
You can have the dub. I like giving you the dub there, especially when you're running 2 man's jobs tonight.
I've got 5 screens.
I know you got a shitload of things going on right now. So we're gonna let you take the dub on that one. The only guy on the internet that predicted Vandy to beat Alabama right here on this network. If you're not subscribed, you should do it for that reason.
That's right.
I mean, one would say he's a certified ball knower.
I got a shirt that says that.
I mean, yeah. Didn't even have to purchase it. The boss showed it right on your desk.
It was on my desk. It was like a trophy.
Don't ever act like I don't do nothing for you, baby.
Now, J. Will has 2 on his side.
He does.
He's not even here. So
well, believe it or not, because he's so long, he and I wear the same size shirt.
No, that makes sense.
So that's really mine.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So there we go.
So maybe I should just take all of them and be like, sorry, J. Will, if you wanted a shirt, you should have came.
I mean,
do you think he's watching this right now, or do you think he's throwing up?
He's probably hugging a bowl. Yeah,
dude. Have you ever had food poisoning? Is it that bad?
I had it, and I don't want to ruin Chick-fil-A sauce for nobody, but the first time Chick-fil-A sauce released, I had food poisoning off Chick-fil-A sauce.
I got it one time
and tasted it with every Ralph. I didn't eat Chick-fil-A sauce for like a good 15 years. Yeah.
I only got it one time from Ahi in Athens. It's a hibachi place.
Damn. You had to name drop a small business. You couldn't go main chain. Chick-fil-A ain't gonna be hurting because Brooksy don't like Chick-fil-A sauce. Whatever that name is, we're not gonna repeat.
We've gotten enough of a national audience now. That's only gonna hit with a small percent.
On the small people.
It's not like the 750 people in this chat right now all live in the Athens area.
It's a very good point you just made. Very good point. If you could change one outcome other than the fact that we didn't quite make 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, which when I first said that, I was kind of like half-ass joking. Like, 50K by January. I think at the time we had 23,000 subscribers. That was a bit lofty of a goal.
There's nothing wrong with having lofty goals.
I mean, we're about to hit it. I mean,
it'll be hit before,
in the next 20 days, next 30 days, we're going to hit that sucker.
With it before it starts getting warm.
Oh, no doubt.
So like late March. If we don't have it by late March, we did something wrong.
Yeah.
Or the algorithm is screwing us.
We're on pace at like every 28 days, 5,300 new subscribers. So we're in there like swimwear, dog. We're in there like swimwear. If you could choose one outcome to change this year, what would you do? And by the way, I'm not choosing one. I got like 5.
I also did 5.
You got a handful?
Simply because I knew that we were going to be short-staffed tonight, so I'm trying to figure out what Jay will want to. But the first one that came to mind immediately like that, the Virginia Tech-Miami game. Miami did not deserve to win that game at all. And I think that obviously in the grand scheme of things, it didn't affect much. Miami ended up not being a playoff team. They shot themselves in the foot against Syracuse. But that was an interception.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. You can review it all you want. It was not an interception. The ACC called in and said, hey, this is like one of the only teams we have a shot at making the playoffs at.
Did it 2 weeks in a row. They did it next week with a targeting call against Cal.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Miami had to come crawling back. So, I mean, the 2 weeks in a row where the ACC just completely saved Miami's ass. Again, it ended up not really having a change in the grand scheme of things because
But they would have saved us effort. I mean, they would have saved us an entire 7 weeks of thinking Miami might be real, knowing good and damn well that they were frauds.
They would have saved me a lot of anger. So that's the first one where I go change that outcome.
Our anti-Miami slant would have hit way earlier. We had to wait all the way to Tech to get our flowers on that one.
About time.
We were fading Miami all year.
Oh, dude, I put a hex on them after that game.
Yeah.
I was done with it.
We called all Miami fans and we said, you love to be hated, so we're going to be the network that absolutely hates you this year.
I was begging you to tweet something good about Cam Ward, dude. You just never did.
Couldn't do it. You were the guys were begging for me to do a film study on Cam Ward. Reason being, when I go out here gallivanting about how great you are, you fitting to go out and lay your biggest stinker of your career.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What else? What did you have?
I would have gone back and changed Ole Miss and Florida's outcome for this reason. I want Ole Miss to have won that game. I wanted Ole Miss to have been a barely squeaked in playoff team this year for one sole purpose. I think college football is more entertaining when Lane Kiffin is like heavily in the mix for important games, right? We get more important press conferences. We get more important clips. We get more important fun. We get more important outfits of the day on TikTok with his daughter. We just get more fun stuff out of Lane Kiffin when Ole Miss matters. And I have a hard time believing that after going 9-3 and losing to teams like Kentucky and losing to teams like Florida when you have to win out, I think games like that and performances like that will ultimately keep Lane Kiffin from being able to go out and band together a roster like he did this past year because he didn't capitalize on it. So going out and asking Ole Miss boosters who were rich back in the 70s and the 80s and the 60s and the 50s and grandma had money, when you rip off of them once, it's hard to go back and get them for a second time.
My question on that, if you change the outcome of that game and just Ole Miss gets that game,
they make a playoff and it's worth it.
Not only that, what is the security of Billy Napier's job? I think we all established by that point things had really cooled off for him. He had done a much better job.
Well,
but
he had already gotten the AD stamp.
He had gotten the blessing,
tweet.
But we all talked about is that really that much of a blessing as if you're coming back for 2025? But I don't know. Maybe it doesn't change that much, but I felt like that win really was like, oh, Billy Napier's the answer here. And if you change that, it might do some things for his job. I absolutely agree with you that how it would have been cool to see Ole Miss in the playoff. Lane Kiffin obviously is one of these characters that you want to be as relevant as possible in the season. So I agree with that.
Now, maybe this Austin Simmons kid's the next left-handed athletic Tua. And maybe he's going to be a great player. And I love the tape coming out of high school. I don't necessarily love when quarterbacks reclass upwards. I like when you honestly do the red shirt in high school thing. I like when you come in at 19, not 17. Shout out Ryan Williams, which is where I'm going next.
Oh.
Kirby, and I don't want this. I don't want this type of chaos, but it's more of a what if.
I think I do.
It's more of a what if scenario here. You want this? I don't know if I want this because I do kind of want to see what would have happened had this happened. What if Ryan Williams, that play against Georgia, never happens? And this is what Alabama's season looks like. All right, because Alabama fans are up in arms already. But could you imagine if the Ryan Williams play never happens and your season goes down with these 4 losses? Blowing a 28-0 lead at home against Georgia, losing as 14-plus point favorites against Vandy, Oklahoma, and Michigan in year 1.
And you lost to Tennessee.
But that was a push game. I'm talking about I don't think they go up in arms on that one. All right, they go up in arms on the 28-point loss or 28-point victory or lead or vanquished, and they definitely lose their minds still about the Vandy loss and the Oklahoma loss and the Michigan loss.
It's really hard,
bro. You say Kalen DeBoer's on the hot seat now. People think you're a hot take artist, right? They're like, whoa, be easy. That one play against Ryan Williams is the difference there.
I agree. No, I agree. And
they go 8-4. He's already on hot seat year 1.
Absolutely. And the Georgia alum and the Georgia fan in me really wish that happened. But I do think that Kalen DeBoer would maybe necessarily get some, not unjust, but maybe too quick heat. I think that let things ride with him right now. We've seen the type of coach that he is. He's got a big project to rebuild an Alabama program in a region that he hasn't had. So it would be interesting to see, and that's a very interesting one. I don't think you want that necessarily changed, though. I have one that I think would make interesting outcome. What if we change the outcome of the first Oregon and Ohio State matchup? Because Ohio State came into that second matchup, the playoff matchup, fired up with vengeance in their bellies, and it felt like Oregon. We watched that game. It seemed like Oregon kind of was out there just like, all right, we'll just do what we did last time.
Does Ohio State still lose to Michigan?
Yeah, we can say that. I'm not changing the outcome there.
I think that was I think Ohio State got lit a fire because of that.
But if that happens also, if Ohio State theoretically wins that game, they're in the Big Ten championship as well.
Correct.
So,
and Oregon probably is in a first-round matchup, and Penn State's sitting at home.
Be interesting. Well, it would be Oregon, Ohio State, and the.
Well, no, Indiana would be sitting at home.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State would have been in the playoff, right? I don't know. These hypotheticals be getting.
Yeah,
my
that
head.
one. That's like a butterfly effect one. Do you have any others? Because I got one more.
Give me yours because I got a big one.
I actually have two more. I would first change the LSU South Carolina outcome. I think we know why. Seeing South Carolina, that LSU loss ended up really being damning to their playoff hopes. It would have been interesting to see a team like that. Now, granted, they lost to Illinois, but I think if they were in the playoff, they would have made things interesting. The one that I really want to change and see the outcome, just because of how interesting it gets, and I think it would be unfortunate for one person, and it kind of counts as a twofold, but what if we change the 2 wins that Florida State got this year, and they went 0-12?
Yeah, you have to fire that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to fire Mike.
Has that ever happened where you?
I mean, honestly, no. You didn't fire him after 2-10. Why would you fire him after 0-12? You were too broke to pay the money.
Mm-hmm.
It was plenty embarrassing.
Yeah.
Now, a home loss against Charleston Southern.
Ooh,
that might get you. But this is the same guy that lost the home to Jacksonville State the year before he went and almost played for a college football playoff.
Yeah, so I mean,
2-10 looks horrid. 0-12, no chance you get to return.
Right. Has that ever happened? A team that goes 12-0 in the regular season and immediately follows up with 0-12?
Absolutely not. In fact, I can almost guarantee without any fact checking right now, that is the worst turnaround from year one or 1 year to another in college football history. They went 12-0 to 2-10. I guarantee you that's the worst regular season turnaround.
13-0 to 2-10.
No, I'm talking about regular season.
Yeah, I agree.
That has to be the worst regular season year, 1 year to the next, delta that there is in wins and losses. I got one more.
What you got?
Kirby, the Wyoming Cowboys. All right.
Huh.
The Wyoming Cowboys were and the Nevada, who are they? The Wolf Pack? All right.
Yes.
These 2 football teams that were not good football teams this year were within 1 late scoring possession away from beating Boise State this year. All right. That's how close they were. Now, I would like to go back and change that. All right. Because Boise State was indeed the best mid-major available this year. And we all know they were nowhere near good enough to win a national title. I wanted that team, that mid-major, just we're getting them in for fairness and equality. I wanted that football team to get absolutely embarrassed. And it's not because I have some disdain for mid-major football teams. I have a disdain for just including people because we feel like we've got to include them. We're out here trying to find the 12 best teams to go play to be the ultimate best team at the end of the year. And if we can all sit here every single year and know that mid-major team is not of the same quality as the rest of them, especially if the what if that I just laid out were the case, right? Had Boise State slipped up to a 17-13 win against Wyoming, had they slipped up in a 21-17 win over Nevada, had those things happen, we would have watched a 10-2 UNLV team in a college football playoff get absolutely destroyed, and we would have known we can't be doing this anymore. They need to either play for a different title or do something else. I'm not here for we just got to include them because we got to include them. So that ain't here.
So you would sacrifice the historic season that Ashton Genty had in the
ain't shit sacrifice, brother. He gonna be second in the Heisman. He gonna get to go to New York.
No.
He gonna play in a fine ass bowl game. He gonna get to do a good thing. He gonna win a damn conference championship, and he gonna get to play in the Fiesta Bowl. Hell yeah. Great job, Genty. We're going to talk about you, and we're going to have people doing the Abraham Lincoln meme talking about Travis Hunter ain't shit on Twitter for you. No, it has nothing to do with the making that season any less special for Ashton Genty. It's about getting the 12 best teams, in my opinion. Now, if one of these teams, like I think Cincy a couple years ago was the 4th most deserving team to go because we couldn't find 4. If we can't find 12 deserving teams and the 13th team over there is Boise State and they're staring at us, then come on. I'll take a 12-0, 13-0 conference champ in Boise over an 8-4 football team or over a 9-3 Big 12 football team because I think they can beat them. But no one thought Boise was winning a title. So much so that this man, who's not here because he's hugging a toilet bowl tonight, bet that he'd put any tattoo the chat wanted to give him anywhere on his body. I was going to go 6 months without shaving my face. What were you going to do? Shave your head?
Shave my head, dude.
He was going to shave his head. No one thought Boise was going to win. So I would change that. Give me a catastrophic loss to where one of them absolutely non-deserving mid-major teams got picked because of we have to.
Man. Thank God Boise State didn't win the national title, dude. Can you imagine how disheveled we would be? Jay Will walks in with a tattoo. I'm bald, and you have to grow out a beard.
Mine would have been a long play. You guys would have been instant gratification for the chat.
Nah, dude. Mine would have been a long play, too.
Yeah. But I'm talking about the initial laugh. You would have gotten an initial laugh. Mine would have taken forever.
Yeah.
It would have been like a week and a half, and y'all would have been like, ugh. Damn, I didn't realize he had that many chins. Normally, he only has he looks like a thumb.
Well, usually the beard covers the chins.
Not mine. Mine will naturally show the lines in my chin neck right there.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm on a new YouTube diet, and I can only consume 10 out of 10 Film Guy Network content. Jay Crin gets it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Jay Crin gets it. Are we good on the if you can change them?
Yeah, that's all I had.
I'm good. College Football Hall of Fame inductees were announced today. I don't feel like reading this entire list off. Most of these names people probably don't even remember.
I was surprised at how few names I recognized. And granted, there's a lot of 96 and
now,
in the 60s.
Jim Kleinsasser, I don't mean to disrespect you. University of North Dakota legend, but I don't necessarily remember you. All right, let's get into these. Some general notes that you need to know. Monty Ball going into the Hall of Fame this year.
Might be one of the most underrated players.
Absolutely slept on. Had 2 seasons of over 1,800 yards rushing. In 2011, Kirby, he had 33 rushing touchdowns.
Jeez.
He had 33 rushing touchdowns.
What gent do you have this year? 32?
Something like that. And he had another 306 receiving yards. He was the entire offense in a backfield that I think had another really good back up at Wisconsin those years.
Mm-hmm. He was like one of the first times I remember oh, wait a minute, Wisconsin has pretty good backs. That was before they went on the run of Jonathan Taylor and Melvin Gordon and all those guys. It was like Monty Ball was like the first guy I remember really starting that off for me.
Graham Harreld makes the Hall of Fame.
Shout out.
Graham Harreld, another guy on this list with absolutely bonkers stats. Graham Harreld in 2007, Kirby, threw for 5,700 yards.
Oh, my God.
And 48 touchdowns. And I think finished 6th in the Heisman.
Now, let's remember. Mike Leach system.
Mike Leach system and more system.
That was
more importantly,
Lou Holtz impression.
More importantly, I was practicing that last night. More importantly, the Michael Crabtree years, who is on the board, by the way.
Yeah,
we got a photo of Mr. Crabtree here on the show.
Dynamic duo.
So yeah, he's making the Hall of Fame this year. Another name on here worth noting: Michael Vick making the Hall of Fame. Michael Strahan must have been an absolute demon at Texas Southern.
Oh God, Texas Southern. I'm like,
does Texas Southern still have a football team?
I haven't seen him play, so I don't know. But I mean, an NFL Hall of Famer. I think he still holds a career lead for sacks in a single season, 22 and a half. Like,
yes,
that guy at Texas Southern. What the hell?
John Henderson, the Tennessee legend, makes the Hall of Fame. I know John Henderson, and most of the chat knows John Henderson for a reason they don't remember or don't know. They probably don't correlate to his college football career.
I don't remember him.
Have you ever seen that viral video of the Jacksonville Jaguar mutant of a defensive tackle that's having the athletic trainer slap the ever-loving piss out of his face?
Baby, come on, harder.
Yeah, harder, hit me. Yeah, that's John Henderson.
Oh,
that's John Henderson.
Honestly, for a clip like that, you should get to the Hall of Fame.
Facts. Right into the Hall of Fame.
Like the Brian.
No one should ever ask questions to you. No one should ever, like at the airport, TSA should just let you walk through. Should no questions asked to John Henderson ever.
Like Takeo Spike's telling them Brian Dawkins, dude. I don't know why I blanked on it. The Brian Dawkins story when he got up and said, "Thank you, Jesus." Like that story alone gets you into the Hall of Fame. I don't care what any of your stats are. So very similar instances there. Yeah,
shout out John Henderson, the psycho, as we have listed. Michael Vick into the Hall of Fame. Michael Vick, the only football player I think ever that was so good and so hard to tackle that during a national title game, they started counting the amount of ACLs that he was accounted for and blowing out from Florida State.
Oh my God.
I think the tally got to 3 by the middle of the third quarter on that AstroTurf Stadium out in New Orleans at the time.
Now,
insane.
Now, to be fair, those boys were playing on concrete with a rug over.
They were playing on carpet on top of concrete. That is true. In some tennis shoes.
Yeah,
that was the craziest thing.
I remember watching Michael Vick highlights when I was like 10 years old and being like, he was so good he didn't have to wear cleats.
Yeah, no, I was like, well, that's just AstroTurf.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing about that era of sports. We were just like, hey, just put a carpet out there. If you're playing football on a surface that is so thin that the ideal use of footwear is tennis shoes, we got to get on a new surface. It's a little too hard for us to be getting tackled on.
Agreed.
A
couple of NFL guys on here, like Alex Mack.
Yeah, Alex Mack, great center for the Cleveland Browns for a long time.
Just a soldier, dude.
Yeah.
Was there during the entire shitty era of the Browns.
Yeah, like, Joe Thomas gets all the love there, but Alex Mack was like a 6-year all-pro guy. So, an absolute dude there as well.
Who else is on this list?
Terrence Metcalf out of the University of Mississippi, out of Ole Miss. I guess played there in 2 different stints, so that's kind of cool. I don't have anybody else.
Oh, we're forgetting the big ones.
Unless you want to give me a shout out to Dennis Thurman.
We're forgetting like
you talking about the coaches?
Yeah, the marquee name.
Yeah, man. Nick Saban can't wait his time. Nick Saban can't wait 5 years. He's so good, we just got to give it to him now.
I mean, honestly, though.
Can't wait in line. Softening of America. Got to give everybody participation awards. Got to give it to him now. Can't make them wait like everybody else. Got to let them cut the line.
That's a crazy spin to give for the
like that take?
The greatest head coach
you like that take?
of all college football history.
No one on the internet giving that take right now,
That's
I guarantee
crazy.
it. That's my area. That's my lane.
Hey, you got that one, bro. I'll let you give that. I mean, the Urban Meyer one, we can go like a little questionable from a character standpoint, but
yeah,
we saw the documentary.
I mean, you fake a couple heart attacks.
Oh, my brain. Is that insensitive to...
I don't think it's any more or less insensitive than me making fun of Nick Saban for cutting the line on his 5-year weight limit, considering he's the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah, but I mean, the Urban Meyer thing is
I think at this point, the chat knows we're kind of making jokes on this topic.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. But I mean, the Urban Meyer thing, at least there's some ambiguity of like, maybe he really did have health issues and we're just making fun of him for it. But I think it's kind of publicly understood that Urban Meyer just saw what was going down. Was like, my heart hurts. I'm out.
Good. Fox wants to pay me about $8 million before Jacksonville wants to pay me 12.
Can't blame him.
Think I'll go do this.
Can't blame that man.
I get to kick a kicker in Jacksonville. That'll be fun.
He's set up for life, dude.
Hell yeah. Get to not ride on the team plane back home from Cleveland and go get to a sports bar that I partially own and get photographed doing something relatively important or inappropriate.
Important.
As a married man.
He thought it was important.
He did. 24/7, I guess, had time today.
Dude, this might be the most
tremendous amount of respect. Tremendous amount of respect for 24/7. Now let's land base.
No, I wasn't even going to land base. Just like this might be the most
I got time today.
Let's have fun with this one.
Yeah, I've got time today. Let's see if these idiots read this.
This is also like an example of like how these like bigger companies are like the Drake of just writing articles. Where it's just like, I'll put out whatever I want and it'll do numbers.
And it finna hit.
Because this one did well. It was at the top of like the news Google like SEO thing when I looked at college football.
So what was this article today?
So 24/7 Sports, Brad Crawford to be specific, took the liberty. I mean, I was going to say you don't have to give them that. Well, I mean, all they got to do is look at it. And You're right. We're not. Go ahead. Took the liberty of saying, I'm going to predict the next 10 national championship games.
Not like the next 3 or 4.
No, not even. And,
Not even the champion. But he's going to pick the matchup?
He's going to pick the matchup between the two teams.
For the next decade. Interesting.
So, if you want to go through the list, you can. I can do it for you. So, obviously, 2024, this year is Ohio State versus Notre Dame. Next year, reasonable. I get it. We've still got a lot of things ahead of us. He has Texas over Ohio State, the rematch of the semifinal game. Two teams, very good. Arch Manning, Ryan Day seem to have a really good roster there. 2026, Georgia over Oregon over Georgia, excuse me. Okay. Dan Lanning going up against Kirby Smart. That's fine. We're still assuming that a lot of the recruiting things still going well for both of those teams. It's understandable that 2 years in the future we can predict it. You good?
No, we got tight hips, man.
That's
too many squats.
You got to do your stretches.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Then we get into 2027 where it's like a whole entire recruiting class later, dude. Like 2027, Alabama is beating Michigan in the national championship. Kalen DeBoer and beats... I don't even know. Bryce Underwood is the quarterback for Michigan. Like things like this is where it gets so
it's literally like an article of how many different big name brand matchups can I get over the next 9 years. And then the 10th one.
The 10th one's the best.
10th one sold me, bro. The 10th one, I was like, all right, maybe he was actually cooking.
So
I got it.
I'll skim through these last ones.
I don't even think the chat's listening to the matchups anymore 10 years from now.
Fair.
But go ahead.
It's LSU or Notre Dame over LSU.
Big name.
Georgia over Ohio State.
Big name.
Texas over A&M.
Huge name. Rivalries.
Florida State over Oregon. They're back, baby.
Florida State's back.
It took 6 years, but they're back.
6.5.
USC over Alabama. The Trojans are back on top.
And are we to 2033 yet?
We're in 2032. 2033, the final one.
I got it. This is where my man really thought he was cooking. All right? Because for 9 years, he's like, big name. How many awesome blue chip programs can I put in these matchups that make semi-sense? And then 2023 rolls around. He's a decade into this article. Brad Crawford's cooking. And he says, you know what? In 2023, Georgia's going to still be around, no doubt, 25 years into Kirby Smart's reign. But not only is Georgia going to be around, the UCF Knights are going to be in the national title. And I even put the clip in here because this is absolute, just incredible writing. Finally, a Big 12 team bucks the trend of the league being a one and done in the playoff, makes the national championship game. And for the first time in program history, it's UCF. Scott Frost will be 59 years old and finishing his 9th season with the Knights since his return in 2024. Buy stock in UCF, Kirby, who's going to be a threat in the Big 12 moving forward with the right guy in the change of the post Gus Malzahn era. Scott Frost, 8 years in, 9 years in. Gonna get it right at 59 years old.
Theoretically, in 2031, the people playing in that game would be...
They're 5th graders. I think.
The 5th graders are going to... Dude, the UCF 5th graders are coming, bro.
Baby Gronk going to be a 7th year senior.
Yeah, Baby Gronk will be 25 by this point.
Baby Gronk going to be risen Livy Dunn.
Dude, he already has. The fact that you even know what that is makes me very scared for your internet usage.
Why?
Dude.
Buddy, I follow a lot of college football stuff. When Livy Dunn and NIL related topics, when Livy Dunn was out here getting rizzed up by Baby Gronk, it was all over my Twitter timeline. Yes, I wanted to contemplate deleting all of social media.
Yeah.
But it happened.
Chronically online.
It happened.
We need to put this in a time capsule, honestly, because all I need is one of these to be correct. If we get to, 2030 and Texas A&M and Texas are in the national championship, I will give Brad Crawford all the praise in the world. All you need is to hit on one of these 5 years from now.
I think you're missing the boat. If 10 years from now we're all still together doing a show, we've won. We've won.
Yeah.
If we go 10 years doing this at this rate, we've won.
I think if I'm still alive in 10 years, it's a win.
I'd take that. If this rock's still spinning, I'll take it. It got real dark there.
It's crazy to think that.
It got real dark.
Yeah.
My bad.
I mean, this room's pretty dark. Sets the mood, honestly. Makes me sad sometimes.
We need a vibe change.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe we do need some, like, there's a lot of lights on the ceiling, but I look around, it's just black everywhere. It's sad.
You want to spruce it up a little bit?
Maybe, I don't know.
You know, black's my color.
I do like the color.
What I failed to realize was if I painted everything black, I can't wear black anymore, and that's all I wear because I'm fat.
You just listen to too much Rolling Stones.
I guess.
So the audience will get that.
Chat says we need a disco ball. Not opposed.
I would not be against disco ball.
Not opposed. Maybe one time we do a show with the lights off. She looked better with the lights low. Shout out Wild 'N Out.
Or we could do, we do the lights off and you get like those glasses that glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Little wristbands.
Like a disco theme.
Like a rave
show. Yeah.
Rave show.
Rave takes.
Ooh, look at us, dude. Cooking up content already.
I mean, we were sitting here before the show wondering what we were going to do all off season. I think we just found it. Glow sticks and disco balls. And hot takes. Set the props for the national title game, Kirby. What do you got for me?
So, do you want to do the goofy ones, or do you want to just do?
No, I want. So, how do you got to set up? We have the obvious, like, you know, the color of the Gatorade. We have first player to score, coin toss, first turnover, over under national anthem. We have that stuff. Mm-hmm. Do we actually have general props that we want to set?
No, I figured that would be what we use better for today's sponsor.
You know what? Let's go ahead. We'll give them a second read on Better right now. I'll head over to Better, the app, and pull up what we got on in terms of national title player props right now over on Better. Again, promo code Brooks for 100% deposit match up to $200. Right now, the Will Howard pass prop is set at 245.5. Kirby, you can get a super play at 294.5 if you think he's going for $3 bills.
240 isn't that much, but it's a lot against this Notre Dame defense, and they've locked down schematically what Ohio State likes to do. I would go the under on that.
I'm going to take the over 245.5.
All right.
I don't think they're going to be able to run the football. I think if they put up 350 yards of total offense, they threw for 260.
True.
All right. And they're putting up 350 yards of total offense. Travion Henderson projections set right now at 57.5.
I would take that.
I'm staying away because you're betting on an explosive.
We saw a lot of...
And he's had 3 explosives the last 3 games. Mm-hmm. What if he doesn't have one this game?
He might not, but we saw a lot of overrunning in that Penn State game for Notre Dame. Like, that was their sloppiest game, and that was arguably the best team, the best offense they've
You know what I might do instead? I might take the half hook on the Quinshon Judkins total touchdowns.
I like that.
Yeah, let's go. It's Quinshon Judkins scores a touchdown, we're in the dub.
You get to the red zone. Yeah. I mean, that's a...
He is their red zone back. Mm-hmm. I like that one. That feels almost like easy money. Now, we have to take one from the other side. Riley Leonard set at 172.5 for passing, 37.5 for rushing.
I don't like either of those. I don't like the idea that Riley Leonard's going to throw over.
All right, how about this? Longest rush attempt, 13.5 yards.
For Riley Leonard?
For Riley Leonard.
I would absolutely take that one.
You want to take the over there?
I would take that one.
114-yard rush, we're in the green.
That's all you need to do to scramble?
All right, let's do it. We're going to make that play right now.
Now, I mean, the problem is Ohio State does run a good bit of zone. So if you're scrambling, you're likely not going to get a ton. But, I mean... Riley Leonard's a tough runner, and they're going to have at least 1 or 2 designs.
Should I make that a dynamic play? Because I got 3 plays on here. Should I make that a dynamic play, meaning I get paid out if 2 are correct, and I get paid out if 3 are correct, but at a lesser rate?
Yeah.
If I go a perfect play, 20 will win you 100. Mama ain't raised no bitch. We're going perfect play.
Boss, it's your money, man.
We're going perfect play.
I would say do it. It makes it most easy to win money. But
all right. Shout out to those folks over at Better. Now, what color is Gatorade going to be?
It's always yellow.
It's always purple.
See, every time you say it's purple, it's never purple. It's it's Murphy's Law. I've bet on 7 straight Super Bowls. I've never gotten the Gatorade color right. It's the most excruciating thing ever.
So don't take his. Don't take yellow. And I'm a bad gambler too, so don't take purple. That leaves blue?
Blue or red.
Now, what we need to really think about is what team are they sponsored by? Is Ohio State a Gatorade team? Because here's the deal. If both of them are Powerade teams, we know for a fact it's going to be either blue or yellow.
True.
That's the only powdered mix that they have.
True.
So we really got to get into the complex thinking here. If they're Powerade teams, do some Googling here. Who are we sponsored by? If we got Powerade teams, we're getting blue or yellow, no doubt. All right, if we got a Gatorade sponsor team, the powder packets on Gatorade come in red, they come in yellow, and they come in Glacier Freeze.
Okay, so Ohio State's a Coca-Cola company.
So they would be a Gatorade. No, they'd be a Powerade team. Be a Powerade team. So that's going to be blue, all right, or yellow. Most Powerade packs are out of the blue powder, though, if I remember correctly. Back in my foosball playing days.
And official sponsors of Notre Dame. Let's see.
This is how you really win bets. You really dive deep.
I don't know if they're sponsored by any sports. They're sponsored by Verizon and Dick's and Yeti, but I'm not seeing anything sports. Maybe they're just holy water.
Notre Dame gonna be that liquid IV.
Yeah, the holy water.
The holy water. Interesting. So we're going blue. I think we need to lock it in on blue. Powerade team. Blue. Maybe Ohio State to win. Give me the blue Powerade.
I'll go blue with that.
First player to score. Who's it going to be?
Give me Carnell Tate.
Ooh, interesting.
Something interesting there.
He would have been one last week.
They tried to get him on a slant route last week, but he dropped it. But I like that one.
I got
everyone's going to be bracketing Mecca. Everyone's going to be going Jeremiah Smith. They're not going to run the ball. Carnell Tate's going to have to do some big things in this game.
I got Judkins being the first player to score. I think Ohio State is the first team to score. That's what it's been so far throughout the playoffs for them. They've started really, really hot. Coin toss. What do you got going on? So here's the deal on coin toss. You have to both predict the team who wins the toss and the side of the coin that it lands on.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Tails never fails. Notre Dame's the road team. They know this. Everyone knows tails doesn't fail. Tails is the call. Tails is the land. Ohio State receives opening kick.
So I went heads, but Notre Dame calls heads, so they win.
So you went the complete opposite of me.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. First turnover. Will Howard interception.
I went Notre Dame. Riley Leonard sails the ball over the middle.
Very, very akin to the Penn State football game. Over under on the national anthem. What are you setting it at, and are you taking the over or the under?
Who's even singing it?
Don't know. I'm gonna set it at 90 seconds. Is that fair? Or is 2 minutes? 2 minutes is about the normal industry standard on this, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a pretty long one. Let me see. Maybe we should have done this beforehand. But
Probably. That's where J Will really comes into
Coco Jones to perform.
Who's Coco Jones?
You didn't see Let It Shine when Disney Channel original movie?
Coco Jones. That's probably out of my time range.
Yeah, Let It Shine is one of the goated Disney Channel original.
Let It Shine.
Yeah, he doesn't chat. Let him know about Let It Shine. But no, Coco Jones, very good singer. I'll go the over-unders at 71 seconds.
Yeah, definitely did not watch Let It Shine. I was the last Disney musical I watched like that was what was it where the camp where the music camp or whatever?
Rock?
Camp Rock.
Let me put it to you, let me give you the simplest terms. Let It Shine is Disney's version of 8 Mile. It's good, dude.
Word?
Rap battles, it's good.
Rap battles. Interesting.
It's good.
You know, Disney really fell off with the Disney Channel as a whole.
I was talking about this with my girlfriend. I was talking about with her, and we were like, Disney Channel original movies completely fell off, and it's sad, but either way.
Boys and girls, that is the first mention of a girlfriend on this network. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean,
congratulations.
See, I don't need to divulge a personal life.
I know you don't. So it must. You even stumbled into it.
Well, I was like, who was I talking about it with? But
my girlfriend.
Thanks, man.
Breaking a barrier with the chat. That's awesome,
I can't wait to see what they're saying about that.
Breaking a barrier with the chat. And all it took was Disney Channel talk. Hell yeah.
You need to go watch Let It Shine, though.
No, not doing it. As if we weren't serious with the analysis enough, let's talk about these uni combos real quick because we got a couple other things to do here. In the last 5 national titles, here's how I rank them. The Michigan versus Washington uni combo last year.
I had that as number 1.
I like Washington's gold helmets with the purple accents and the white jerseys. They look crispy. I'm not a fan of Michigan's uniform. I don't like the maize and blue. I don't like it.
When they go full blue, the full navy, I like it. I think it looks very good.
Okay. And I'm a Jumpman guy, as you can see based on the stage right here. Number 4, Georgia versus TCU. Same thing. Not into the purple and the black. They had the white accents. I know you did.
That's my number 2.
We're completely flip-flop.
I think number the red 3, accented the purple well.
Number 3, Georgia and Bama in 21. I think Georgia was wearing white there. I like Georgia's white unis a little bit better than their red ones. I think they pop a little bit more. The red and clashing with the red helmet doesn't necessarily pop as much as you think it would in person.
When you put red with a darker version of red, it just doesn't look that great in my opinion. So
number 2, Ohio State versus Bama in 2020. That would have been a COVID title. That was when we were out here wondering why in the hell you would ever ask linebackers to run with Devontae Smith. Number 1, Ohio State versus Notre Dame. This uniform matchup to me is pristine. I can't put it into words how shiny them golden domes are.
Because you were at the Peach Bowl in 22, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so the Ohio State uniforms, are they nice in person?
Oh, they're crispy.
Okay.
They are crispy.
Because like I said, I was taken aback a little bit by the Notre Dame ones in the Sugar Bowl. I walked up to you and was like, I usually give Notre Dame a lot of shit for having basic uniforms.
No, sir.
They look good.
Yeah, they do.
Those chrome domes look real
and
nice.
the gold plated names on the back of the jerseys
That's
that
a
he
new
added this
feature,
year.
too.
Yeah, man, those are clean.
I think that needs to stay. I like that.
All right, we're way behind. I know you got a list, so rattle off your list while we get to these must-watch tapes. Are we ready for these?
What list am I rattling off?
Your uniform matchup. Are we ready for must-watch tapes?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go over to the board. All right, so there are several national prospects that I think everyone watching this today, no matter what fan base you pay attention to, these are guys you need to be paying attention to. All right, this is Tristan Keys that we're going to watch first. Tristan is the highest ranked wide receiver on the consensus board. Can't quite remember where he's from. He's from the state of Mississippi. Now, we don't do ads on here. We don't do ads for Huddle.
Did it already refresh?
Yeah, it's all good. Don't worry about it. It's an 11-second thing. All right, Tristan Keys, from what I remember on 24/7 Sports, is about 6'2", 200 pounds. This reminds me a lot of Justin Jefferson, okay? When this guy pops up on the tape right here, you're going to notice very linear athlete, Kirby, not super thick in the lowers, all right? He's got very thin ankles, got very thin legs, but man, can he route. He's got immediate separation in his route concepts. But, buddy, I'm telling you, this is a freak. This is one of those ones,
I've never seen someone high point and then low point in football.
Yeah, while doing it one-handed.
Yeah,
100%. He double moves a guy here in a second and completely walks away from him out of the screen in immediate. The ball skills are tremendous as well. That basket catch was off the fingertips right there.
Did Devontae Adams kind of break Devontae Smith kind of break the mold of like you have to
having to be a thick guy?
You have to be a thick guy, otherwise you won't hold up.
I don't think it was him. I think it was the combination of these run of receivers in the NFL, starting with OBJ, Jarvis Landry out of LSU led the league in receptions. All right, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, on to these next guys. Our man AJ Brown. Okay, all these wide receivers that you're seeing dominate over the last 10 years of the NFL, they're all 6'1". They're all 200 pounds. None of them look like Calvin Johnson. All right, the last wide receiver to look like Calvin Johnson and dominate the league is Calvin Johnson. All right, so they're kind of moving more towards this. How much can you get open? How open can you get? How much coverage can you beat? How much separation can you create? Okay. This guy creates a bunch of it.
I'll tell you, hit pause. We've got a super sub of $20.
All right, we'll get that in between these two. All right, this is the double move I was telling you about, Kirby. When they show you this at the start of this slant, it's a sluggo. He's going to sell the slant and then run the go off this off coverage. When we see him, all right, look at the coverage right there and how close they are, and look how much separation he creates at the top of that when we finally get him back into the photo. This man is something scary. Now, from what I see on indications early on, I think this is a Tennessee lean coming out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. All right, but you would imagine Lane Kiffin's got his claws into this one. You would imagine Alabama's trying to talk to him. You would imagine everybody, Texas, okay, LSU, everybody in the surrounding areas probably trying to get heavily involved here with Trent Keys.
He's on everybody's board.
Yes. Tristan Keys, excuse me.
This might be some of the more impressive like in-air ball skills I've seen.
Oh, buddy, we're just getting started, okay? I got tape tonight that, all right, is some of the best tape in high school football right now over the next 4 or 5 guys we're going to watch. Not only in this hour, we're going to spin it back again in the local hour and do this as well with you. Let's keep watching my man Tristan for a couple more plays and see if we got anything else worth, praising right here. All right, so now we're going to get him into a bunch because we got to hide him a little bit. All right. Oh, my God. Could you throw that any higher? We're going to high point this. Oh, my God.
Whoa.
I love how he drew the contact. Did you see this, Kirby?
He did.
Almost like a basketball player running through the paint. We're going to draw the contact from this corner, lean back into him, and then go catch the football. We obviously got the flag as well. This guy's very, very well polished and obviously a little bit of a freak in the metrics.
That's not a 16, 17-year-old type play.
Yeah,
you just throwing it
out. I mean, literally the only negative on this eval is he's not 200 pounds. He's a little bit thin, but who cares at this point? We see, again, is Justin Jefferson the last 5 years been the best wide receiver, most consistent wide receiver in the league?
You'd be hard pressed to find anyone else.
And he ain't thick. He ain't one of these thick dudes. That's why Justin Jefferson is indeed the player comp for me. All right, now we're going to go watch my man Jet Washington. Now, Kirby, I think I already told you how big this guy is, so I don't want you to answer. But I want the chat, as we start to watch this film from this safety from Bishop Gorman, I want the chat to try to guess just how tall this individual is based off the film that we're going to watch, okay? Because when I tell you how large he is, it's going to blow your mind based off the movement skills that he displays, like this first play right here. Let me spin this back for you, okay? Again, Jet Washington out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. Look how much ground this young man covers, okay?
Hell?
Bro, what the hell is exactly right? What the hell is exactly right? Wait till you see this next clip too, because we just saw him play center field safety, cover a shitload of ground, go high point the football and pull it down. Watch this, okay? We're going to get a double move against a single high safety. We're going to murder a young man on the sideline over there, okay? And then we're going to get back to playing deep safety again, and we're going to cover a stupid amount of ground. Guys, he was on the right hash over there. He caught that interception on the left hash. All right, same thing here. All right, now I'm going to give the chat, we're going to murder someone. I'm going to give the chat a little bit more time to guess how big this kid is. All right, because again, this reminds me a lot of a Texas signee in this class, Jonah Williams, the safety out of, I believe, the state of Texas, signed with Texas this year. This kid reminds me a lot of him, and there's questions about exactly what Jonah's going to play. I think this guy might have a little bit more top end speed than even Jonah does.
He reminds me of a taller version of Taylor Mays.
He's not, bro. Taylor was so thick.
He was thick, but he was exceptionally tall for the safety position.
You know what this kid thinks he's going to be when I tell you his size. This kid's 6'5", 205. Ooh. This kid's 6'5", 205, and I guarantee you every coach in America is telling them, we can make you the next Kyle Hamilton. That's what they're telling this kid.
6'3"?
Kyle Hamilton's 6'4", a full 6'4".
Good God.
Kyle Hamilton is a full 6'4", 205. All right, and this kid, that's what they're probably telling him he can be. We think you might be able to be Kyle Hamilton. And, I mean, Jesus, the tape is insane. Now, what we don't see a ton of is him, turning and running. I think we're going to see him pick the football up and return it for a touchdown here. Yeah.
Also, not seeing, now, again, you might not have to when you're playing this highest two-man safety, but not a lot of alley filling. But, again, you might not need to. Oh, good, that one didn't reload the ad.
All right, so now we watched backs yesterday. We watched Georgia's backs on the local hour. We watched Derek Cooper. We watched the height kid, Savion Hyder, out of I want to say, don't know. Either way, massive prospect, Virginia. He's from Virginia. All right, we watched all those guys that Georgia's recruiting. I don't think Georgia's in on KJ Edwards, but I'm in on KJ Edwards. Wait till you see this tape, Kirby. We were waiting for one of them explosive backs on the tape last night. I found me one right here. And he's from the state of Texas. First clip's going to be in a state championship football game. And, we found Go-Go Juice today, boys. We found Go-Go Juice today.
See him pull away.
Oh, yeah, he going to pull away.
Yeah.
Now, here's the deal. 5'9", 185 pounds. Not a big kid.
Not
a huge kid. But what I like, you're going to see a bunch of work in between the tackles like that right there.
Jump cut.
Yeah, man. Dead legs are insane.
Score here?
Yeah. I think the first 7 clips are touchdowns, buddy. The short area quickness on this guy is absurd.
This is like if you put Dejon Edwards on like 1.5 speed, watching a YouTube video.
Yeah. Yo is right. I don't know where KJ Edwards is going to end up. I would love to see him in the stretch zone scheme that Texas is running. But Texas, their profile at Texas right now, in my opinion, is 6'2", 210 and above, like Cedric Baxter, or world-class track guy in a very linear body like Jaden Blue. There is no in-between. This guy's an in-between guy for them. I don't know where he's going to end up, but Jesus. There is no catching this guy on high school tape either. I've been really impressed over the last day or so watching him. The in between the box cuts are just they're goofy. This is what high school 5-star running back tape should look like.
On this kid?
I don't have one. All right, but again, you're playing it. I would say this is This would be the equivalent of 4 or 5A high school football here in the state of Georgia. It's not Duncanville. It's not DeSoto. It's not those big schools out in Texas that look like they're playing in D1 facilities. This is the equivalent of really big high school football in the state of Georgia, in my opinion. I mean, I always look at these things, the outward, environments of just how large the football means to the resounding areas.
Damn, he's fast.
Yeah, buddy. He can flat out go. Love that tape from that young man. All right, our last National Hour tape. Talona Ely. Now, Talona Ely,
like a hard hitter.
Yeah, Talona Ely plays in the big boy conference out there in California. So he's playing St. John Bosco. He's playing Mater Dei. He's playing all of those perennial. They got 12, 15, Division I football players. This is sophomore tape that we're watching right now. Everyone in the industry thinks this kid's going to Oregon. Christian, to me, he reminds me a lot of watching Noah Sewell without questions of whether or not you're going to be 260 pounds. Every time I watched Noah in high school, I knew he was going to outgrow the position. Everyone knew he was going to outgrow the position, and he did, and it was for the worst of his overall NFL career, right? I don't know how much bigger this kid's going to get. I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think he's going to grow his way out of the position, and he's got tremendous movement skills, all right? And again, we are watching sophomore tape. I turned some of the junior tape on against individual matchups like St. John Bosco and Mater Dei. I think it's a really, really good football player, and this is what it sold it for me, Kirby. We're 15, 16 years old, and we know to punch that football out right there. A super instinctual football player.
The first two plays are you recognize a screen and you go blow it up, and then you punch a football out.
The whole tape, the reason we got him on here tonight, Kirby, is all instinctual, and I can't teach you football plays like this right here. I think the next snap, he's lined up with his hands in the dirt. Okay, maybe in a couple of snaps from now. All right, but I think this is him attacking the football on a pass rusher. He's going to swipe at this thing after running this guy down, trying to create another fumble. We're dislodging the football. We have natural playmaking instincts. This is it right here. All right, watch this, Kirby. All right, he's in a goal line situation. I think this is Bosco. All right, he's in a goal line situation. He's going to notice motion towards him, and he's going to start to bump his alignment. Watch this. Boom. Slide his alignment just a little bit, and now he's going to start setting edge and playing football. All right, that's a sophomore doing that, guys. So really, really smart, instinctual football player. I'm excited about what that's going to look like going into his senior year out there in California. All right, we good? We're going to transition into our local hour right now. It's our best hour. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. We'll see you on the other side.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You like that? You really like that? Let's shut up and grab some tape.
In, ladies and gentlemen, to our local hour. We finna talk that dog. I got a bunch of topics for you guys tonight, like whether or not Georgia will break its own draft record. When that was in the show notes today, I thought no way in hell. Apparently, according to Kirby, there's actually a slight chance that this might happen. So we're going to take it to the board today and find it out. Who is Georgia cheering for this weekend? I think it's a pretty easy and obvious answer. How will Georgia's offensive identity change with all of the departures and all of the additions? I've got notes on that for you guys tonight. We've got must-watch tapes on the local hour, and I think these are some of the most must-have guys that you need to be paying attention to moving forward throughout this 2026 recruiting cycle. And one word to describe this season for the University of Georgia without using the word disappointing. Here's what I forgot to do, Kirby, and we're going to go back over to the board. So spin camera 3 back over there. We've got to put a name up on the board because we got a $20 super chub.
We did.
From who?
It's from Yuri Gonzalez.
Is that Y-U-R-I?
Y-O-U-R-Y.
Y-O-U-R-I.
Or Y.
R-Y. Oh, I like that.
Like
Yuri.
your Y.
Yuri Gonzalez. Is that spelled with a Z or an S?
Gonzalez. G-O-N-Z-A-L-E-Z.
The way it ought to be spelled. Gonzalez. All right, appreciate you, Yori. Remember, any Super Chub over $20 or $19.99 will get your name up on that board if that means a whole hell of a lot to you, which it does to me. I like seeing you guys' names. I like those boards getting filled up like that. It makes the space feel a little bit more inclusive with you guys as well. All right, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with this Georgia breaking its own draft record, Kirby?
Well, I'm trying to pull up Epic Pen right now, so we might want to do a different segment.
I think I got an idea how to pull Epic Pen up for you.
All right.
So a little, it's almost always right here on the recents. So now it'll probably pop up on that screen over there.
See, that's the thing. I'm not seeing it.
You're not seeing it? All right, so we might not have Epic Pen tonight.
I'm not seeing it, yeah.
All right. So the only other suggestion I have for you, Kirby, is to try to pull up Task Manager and go ahead and kill it and then reopen it. It might pop up on your screen for you. All right. In the meantime, let's adjust some things right here. I would be hard pressed. I'd be hard pressed to find a reason why any Georgia football fan on this planet would be out here rooting for Ohio State on Monday night. Can't for the life of me think about it. I would love for the chat to give me a reason. I think, for some reason, Ohio State is a football program that Georgia fans already have a level of disdain for. Maybe it's because they're good. Maybe you just don't like people who are good. And I don't think anybody does. When your football team's good, you don't like other good football teams because they could take championships away from you. But Notre Dame beat you, so you're definitely going to be rooting for the team that beat you.
Do you want me to play devil's advocate here?
Sure. Give me a reason. I tried to search for
Here's the best one I can come up with is that Notre Dame fans, understandably so, were very boisterous about the quality of the SEC, the quality of the Georgia football program, the quality of all those things, and that happens when you win, and that can understandably rub you the wrong way, so it would make nothing happier for your immediate reaction to be, I want to see that team lose. I want to see that team suffer because misery loves company. That's the only even reason rationale as to why you would not want to see Notre Dame win this game, and the fact is that if they do win, you can no longer make fun of the Notre Dame can't ever win type thing, so... Yeah. That's the only two reasons I could even give you.
Any luck on Epic Pen?
I can't even find it in Task Manager now. There it is.
Epic Pen out here wilding.
It really is right now. But I mean, the real answer is Notre Dame. That's why you want to win this game.
Yeah.
Hey, there's Epic Pen.
All right, let's go to the board.
Well, it opened and now.
Huh?
Dude, Epic Pen is being.
Bro. Grab it right here.
There it is.
Drag it over there.
There it is.
All right, we're good. Here we go. All right, so what are we up on the board for? We're up here to try to break the NFL draft record. All right, so let's see off the top of Brooksy's head how many of these guys I can name that I already know for a fact are going to be drafted. Okay, so let's go with this right here. First and foremost, first guy off the board, Malachi Starks.
Is he the first off the board in your opinion?
I mean, him and Michael are probably going to be right after one another or right next to one another.
You don't think Jalen has a chance to go before any of that?
I think Jalen's going to be a guy that, again, I was wrong. The most wrong I've ever been on combine performances is George Pickens. I thought he was going to run somewhere in the 4.5s. He ran 4.41. It blew my mind. Same thing with Tyke Smith. I do not expect Jalen to run some super blazing fast time. And I also expect every single draft analyst to lead their conversation with Jalen about his size and about how he's undersized. And first round draft picks that are quote unquote undersized have to go crazy in the testing measurements. I could be wrong, but I've never seen anything on tape that makes me believe Jalen Walker is a 4.48 runner. And I think that's what is required for he's going to be 6'2 3/4. He's going to be 248 pounds. And everyone's going to look at that and put it into an edge rushing box, and the RAS score, right? The RAS score on that is going to say, that's bad. This is a guy who's not that big. All right. So he's going to have to test extremely well to be deemed as a first round draft selection. But here are the things that Jalen has working for him. I don't think it's a tremendous edge class, first and foremost.
Correct.
And I do think nowadays, because of where we're at in the world of football, because of what's happened in the development departments of college football, I do think the character evaluation that Jalen's going to pass with flying colors, I think it's going to matter a lot to some of these NFL guys who sit in a lot of rooms rooms with a lot of kids now where they got to say, hey, why'd you transfer 2 times? What's going on here? What happened with this? Why is this coach giving me a bad read about your weights? Why is this going? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This kid's not going to have one of those. I think he ultimately ends up in the first round, but I'm not sitting here in mid-January, saying Jalen Walker's going to be a top 15 pick.
That's fair. And I mean, he is one of those just watch the tape players. Like, you want to question the speed, watch him go run down Arch Manning. Like, there's certain flashes that are there that's like the numbers at some point, the game speed matters just as much.
Are these the only first round picks?
For certain, I would say yes.
Who's on the verge of this?
I don't think there's anyone.
I don't think so either. So now we're getting into this group of players. All right, Trevor Etienne. We're getting into the group of players with Dylan Fairchild. All right, and Tate Ratledge, of course.
Smile.
Fairchild, not Fairchid. Tate. Smile.
Jared Wilson. Ben Urosic, maybe?
I think we're going to put Ben Urosic. These are in the, I guarantee you, their top 5 round discussions.
Okay.
All right. Who else fits in the, I guarantee you, their top 5 round discussions? TID?
Put TID in there? That's what
maybe we'll put TID here in this next. I guarantee you he's drafted. I don't know how high. Who?
Dom Lovett?
Yes, I would put Dom Lovett in this. I guarantee you he's drafted discussion. I don't know how high. I would put Warren Brinson in this discussion. Okay. I would almost be willing to put Arian Smith in this discussion, knowing how fast he's going to run in his combine performance. All right.
So then that leaves you with Xavier Truss. That leaves you with Ben Urosic.
All right. I think these guys get put over here. All right, Xavier Truss, I don't think there's a way that he goes undrafted. All right, a guy that can play all 5 spots, that has a plethora of NFL or SEC tape against NFL football players. I don't think there's a way he goes undrafted. I don't think there's a way he's a top 100 pick, though.
Correct.
All right, same thing. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about Urosic getting drafted. But if you're an NFL scout looking at that 2022 tape, you might just do it.
Yeah, I mean, the 2022 tape was really good, and I think it's also like he's a quality player and he's smart. He's going to pass all the character evals. He if he gets drafted, it'll be a late round pick. But
all right, so we're at 14 names, and who am I forgetting? There's got to be somebody I'm forgetting off this. Chaz Chambliss, Chaz Chambliss, Dan Jackson.
How do we forget Dan Jackson? Nas Stackhouse.
Dan Jackson. All right. Of all of these names on this board, and we're at 17 now, which breaks the record. The record's 15. Of all these names that are on the board, I think of all, like maybe undrafted. Maybe if this one gets red flagged for some reason, maybe. Yeah. But I don't think he's going to. I mean, Xavier's never even missed a start at the University of Georgia.
Correct.
So I don't think he's going to get red flagged from a medical perspective.
And that's why
literally in my notes it said no effing way you're gonna have to show me how it's
that's
how
why
it's
I kind of wanted to show it, because I was going through this list. I'm like 1, 2, 3. Like there's an avenue to 16 to 17 players here. Now it takes a lot of guys overperforming in the combine. It takes a lot of really, really doing well. It takes a lot of living up to your hype, but it's possible. I mean, you could convince me that every single one of these players on this list gets drafted. You could also convince me that 4 or 5 of them are going to go undrafted. So, I would see that. In
the worst year of the Kirby Smart era since 2020,
yep,
they're going to have potentially 17 guys drafted and win an SEC conference championship.
Correct.
It's not bad.
Not too bad. And that's why I kind of wanted to do that exercise, because when you look at it, like, there's no way.
You're right. I thought that, 15 is so many. The idea that they're going to get to 17 potentially, that's crazy to me.
Very crazy.
Chat's asking, how is Chaz going to test? I don't expect very well. Like a 4.85 runner?
Testing the physical aspect, probably not like super well, but I think from everything else, when you look at tape, he's going to be one of the tape and character guys that you see. But it's also you're going to get a Georgia bump. You're going to get the fact that you played on a national championship team, the fact that you played on an SEC championship school, the fact that you started for 3 years now at the University of Georgia.
I'm not a fan of like a lot of white shirts. I think this shit looks good.
It looks good, dude.
I think this shit looks good. I think it's definitely worth the price tag,
especially for me.
Yeah, not that we had to pay for them.
Yeah, I just show up and it was on my desk.
Yeah, but if I had to, I definitely would, no doubt. Where to next?
Let me go back to my show notes.
How will Georgia's offensive identity change this year, Kirby? I got a lot of notes. Let me hear yours.
So obviously, you're not going to be the aired out pass first team that you were under the Carson Beck regime with Mike Bobo. I think that's kind of understood. I think we kind of saw that with the Gunnar Stockton starting against Notre Dame, and even in the second half against Texas. They rely heavily on the run now. I do kind of wonder, though, what type of passing game you're going to adopt, because we talked about it too. Carson Beck and Gunnar Stockton are not two same quarterbacks. Gunnar Stockton is very much rip it, throw it now, don't need a live touch, don't want to have to require a live touch, whereas Carson Beck, that's kind of what he specializes in. So you're probably not going to get as many concepts over the middle. You're probably going to get more concepts of quick outs, quick hitches, back shoulder fades. We all saw Gunnar Stockton can air it out, so you're still going to get your deep shots, and you're still going to have the winners designed for that. I don't think anyone's ever questioned his arm strength throughout this entire process, but I do think you're also going to need to do some things where you're releasing the ball quicker, you're getting the ball out quicker. I don't think Gunnar Stockton is the type of guy that can stand in the pocket for 2.5 to 3 seconds, because we've seen his release is a little elongated. More so than ever, he's played, 1.5 games, and he's gotten the ball knocked out of his hands 3 or 4 times mid-throw just because. That is a release problem, and that's who Gunnar Stockton is. That's fine. You have to find ways around that now to supplement that. So I think that's what you're going to see the differences in the offense.
Chat's asking if the shirts are for sale. Yes, they are. Check the link in the description of this video. Also tweeted the link out today. I'll probably do so again relatively soon. I got several notes here. I think you're going to install more of a downhill quarterback run game.
Yes.
I think everybody was wondering whether or not you were going to install a bunch of, options for Gunnar, and it can't just be read option out of the backfield where you're asking Gunnar to outrun linebackers nowadays in the SEC, because I don't think he's going to do that at a very, very high rate. What he can do is do midline option. All right, do stuff in between the tackles where we're really trying to create holes for 12, 15-yard gains. But no matter what, if there's not a tremendous amount of space, we know Gunnar's going to run behind his pads, and he's going to pick up 4 or 5 yards. I want him running north and south next year in every design run concept that they have, which means they're going to have to work a little bit more stretch and outside concepts with the running back in order to get their quarterback downhill. We still have Epic Pen ready. So here's what I'm telling you I think you're going to have to do as we get a nice blurry shot of camera 1. We'll fix that in a little bit. All right, but what I'm talking about here is installing some type of offense instead of doing a quarterback read where we're running inside zone here and asking this quarterback right now to be all of these space players out here, right? Corners, nickels, safeties, outside linebackers, in other words, really good athletes. Instead of asking him to do that, why not ask him to get more north and south like he's supposed to, right? Get the quarterback here, run stretch with the running back, get everybody this way. All right, maybe pull a backside guard, insert him in the front side, and now we can get the quarterback running downhill in what we call quarterback midline option, right? Getting down the midline of the offense and down the midline of the defense with the quarterback going north and south. The only way we can install this, however, is if we actually have outside zone and wide zone concepts put into the playbook. I think it's something that they're going to have to do in order to get this quarterback back north and south like we want him to be in the design run game. That would be a change that I want to see. Okay, I want to see our quarterback in this offense get used more north and south in the run game, and it's going to require things like that. I think you get back to much more moving the pocket. All right, and I'm not talking about just being a naked boot team like you tried to be in the Sugar Bowl. I'm talking about sprint rollouts. I'm talking about getting the quarterback outside of the pocket early on in protections and early on in possessions for one primary reason. You have not been the cleanest pass protection football team for the last 2 years, okay? Part of the reason being you didn't manipulate the launch point as much the last 2 seasons as you did with Stetson. Now, people will hear that, and Georgia fans will hear that, and they'll be like, Mike Bobo sucks. No, that's not why you became much more of a pocket pass-oriented football team. The primary reason you became much more of a pocket pass-oriented football team is because you had a pocket passer at the quarterback position in Carson Beck. Now we have a guy who we're going to rely upon with his legs slightly more. I think you have to see more screen game with Zachariah Branch than perhaps ever before. Much more unique screen games. A lot more tunnel screens, reverting back to some of the plays that Ladd McConkey had success with, right? The tunnel screen from the slot receiver against Alabama in the national championship game a couple years ago that ran for a touchdown, right? These types of plays from slot receivers that can not only catch the football, but more importantly, do drastic shit with it after the catch. This is one of those guys. I talked about it already, but I think you're going to have more of a diverse run game. I want to see it. I want to see a little bit more outside zone. I want to see a little bit more, maybe some wham, all right? Maybe some fold blocking schemes where we're not asking offensive linemen for 4 quarters to move the defensive lineman across from him that plays at Florida that might be a 4th round pick. That guy's an NFL football player, coach. It's really hard for me to uproot him for 4 quarters, all right, and never, get to use an angle on him, never get to run around him, never get to trick him, right? I always have to beat him. That's kind of hard, coach. I know I'm good. I know you recruited me to be good. I know you coached me to be good. Can you help me out a little bit with the run schemes? I want to see some of that next year. There's no way that Kirby Smart watched that that Notre Dame game in that Sugar Bowl and didn't come away with the idea that I came away with. We got run game tendencies. We got stuff going on in our offense right now over the last 3 years that games 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, people seem to get us. They seem to have our number. They seem to be playing a little bit more aggressively against certain sets. We definitely showed you that on the film from Notre Dame. Being a little bit more diverse in your run game will avoid those certain tendencies late in the season when the games matter most. I think you see more 3-by-1 formations next year if indeed Noah Thomas is what I think he's going to be. You've been avoiding 3-by-1 the last couple of years, okay? Because you don't have an X receiver, all right? And when you were in 3-by-1 the last year, it's because Ladd McConkey's a freak. At 6'1", he was able, or 6 foot tall, 190 pounds, he was able to be an X receiver in college football, and he's able to be a slot and a Z receiver in the NFL because he is special.
They would do it with Brock, too.
All right, so you've got to get back to being able to have somebody out there that can force defenses to dictate coverage and really open up and line up, letting you know what they're about to do, which is pay attention to the X receiver. It's going to be nice if that ultimately happens, right? Noah Thomas is the dude that I think he's ultimately able to be. You weren't as perfect at the line of scrimmage this year, or you won't be, but that's okay. I think I switched notes. You're going to be different. You're not going to be as perfect at the line of scrimmage next year with pre-snap calls. I just don't expect Gunner in year 1 as a starter to be as clean with protections, run checks, checks at the line of scrimmage as Carson. But here's what I've noticed about doing what I do, all right, over the last several years. Just because you make what you think is the right check at the line of scrimmage doesn't mean that the outcome is going to result that, right? Sometimes I do think on 3rd and 2, Carson Beck would have been better off not checking into the screen and just trying to run against the brick wall and see what would have happened, right? And I think next year, some of those, maybe we didn't get the right play called, but we executed the play. I think that will be a little bit different for these guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of examples you think of this year where it was like, there's no way the quarterback and wide receiver are on the same page right now. That happened a couple times in the Florida game where it was very obvious Carson was checking into screens and threw a screen, and then Dom Lovett was ran a slant or something like that. So I think you are right. I think there was a little bit of quote unquote
just no cohesiveness.
Paralysis by analysis is almost what I would say about it. Because Carson Beck is here trying okay, I have to do everything right, make sure every single play is right. Problem is, like you said, lack of cohesiveness. The other 10 guys on the offense might not have been on the same page as you, which I think led to a lot of your issues.
Absolutely. You already gave me your offensive identity changes. Anything
I do want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
We're going into this offseason and we're going into this season kind of with the expectation that we know who Georgia's quarterback is. And Kirby Smart has always kind of said there's a quarterback battle, with the exception of when there's a clear-cut guy like Carson last year or Stetson in 2022 or JT coming into 2021. Is there going to be a quarterback battle, and is it going to be a serious one, or do they have their guy this year?
I believe you asked me this off air yesterday, and I gave you a really, really detailed answer about how college football works.
Yes.
At least in my experience. I think Gunnar Stockton is the starting quarterback at the University of Georgia. No, hard pause, stop right there, all right? However, there are always, in every single roster, there are guys who during that March through June period where you're not really around the team and spring practice has concluded and you're back home and you're working with your trainers and you're doing God knows what, right? There are people who come back to campus as a completely different human being. Their body looks different. Their ability to, at the quarterback position, throw the football looks totally different. Maybe they've cleaned something up mechanically. Maybe they spent the last 2 months doing nothing but studying their playbook and they're locked the F in. There is nothing on the horizon that tells me anything, or it might not happen, where Ryan Puglisi comes back in the spring. He's a totally different human being. He's undeniable, right? And you have to open up the competition. But right now, I do think it is Gunner's job to have, and he's got to lose. Okay, if that makes sense.
Now, with all that said, there's still going to be some manufactured,
dude.
We're working them out type deal. So
yeah,
buckle up for that, because I know there's going to be certain fans where it's like, I thought you said Gunner was QB.
There might even be I wouldn't put it past Kirby Smart to not name an official starter until August. I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past him at all. He's done it in years prior. But I will say this: it doesn't feel as much of a, like when Stetson was gone. There was no doubt in anyone's mind that actually knew what they were talking about that thought Brock Vandagriff was going to beat Carson Beck out. Everyone knew Carson Beck was about to get the reins in 2023.
Yep.
It feels closer to that than an open competition. Does that make sense?
Oh, really? Okay.
I think so. But it doesn't feel like that. You know what I'm saying? It feels like there might be some competition, but Gunner's got the lead.
And there really isn't a true example other than maybe 2016 when you had Grayson Lambert and Jacob Eason of there being like this quarterback battle of the Kirby Smart roster is really neck and neck. Like, we have no idea what it is here. Like you said, the Brock Vandagriff Carson Beck one was kind of manufactured that way and kind of made to be that. But behind closed doors, everyone was like, it's going to be Carson Beck.
Yeah,
so.
And here's the deal. Ryan is uber talented.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I would say if you were to just put him in shorts and T-shirts and have NFL scouts come around and say, hey, are you drafting Gunner or are you drafting Ryan? They're probably going to draft Ryan.
Ooh. Who's starting at Pro Day this year?
Oh, that's a good one.
Because they usually have QB2 do it.
Yeah.
We might see some.
That was, by the way, not a great outing from Gunner last year in the Pro Day script.
No.
Not a great outing. However, throwing NFL footballs, a lot different than throwing college balls.
A whole lot
different. Can we get a shirt that says something like certified ball learner?
I like that. In the process of knowing.
Yeah.
Can't be stamped and certified yet. You got to learn your way through it. Like in training. Have you seen Training Day?
You asked me this yesterday and exposed me. I thought about watching it last night, but I didn't get done working until about 11 o'clock last night. So the idea that I was going to start up a 2-hour movie in Training Day, I don't know. Maybe tonight, though. Maybe tonight. Last show, best show.
Great movie.
All I got to do tomorrow is get my son's hair cut, pick up my suits from the dry cleaner, because, your boy's going to the national title game. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah,
the audience
your boy's going to the national title game. Yeah,
the audience know that?
Your boy got approved to a game the caliber of a national title.
Ooh, you're gonna be suited up there?
Suited and booted.
Dang.
Suited and booted. Should I go blue or green?
For
trick question. I got two blues.
I was gonna say, do you have a green suit or are you talking about ties?
No, I got a green suit. That shit's clean too. It's dark green.
Okay.
Yeah. It's olive. It's sexy too.
I like that.
I look good in that thing. I think I'm gonna go green suit to pressers, blue suit to natty.
Oh, showing your allegiance to the Irish, huh?
No, the SEC. The SEC. It's not Irish blue either. It's it's a brighter blue.
Okay.
It's not a navy.
Gotcha.
Ain't nobody rocking navy suits nowadays.
I had a navy suit.
I have a navy suit as well.
Wore to a wedding. Damn.
One word other than disappointing that you could use to describe the 2024 season, Kirby.
And I put in, don't put disappointing, because I think that's the callous. Anyone could say, like, there were a lot of expectations this year, whether you want to go holistically as the team or just the player. It's safe to say the majority of them did not live up to it. So, yes, it was disappointing. But I think there's some other words that we could use to describe this season. Frustrating is certainly one of them, because it always felt like you were so close to everything going right. and it just seemed like you, for whatever reason, could never find a way to get there. Whether it was you had your own turnover, or you made your mistake, or you weren't playing up to the level you were, or you had a star player who had started for you for multiple years make a mistake that was extremely uncharacteristic. Things like that were extremely frustrating, and they happened throughout the entire season. From week 3 pretty much was when things really started to go awry against Kentucky, to against Notre Dame in week, I guess it was 17 or 18 at that point in the college football year. It was very frustrating to watch. I also went with inopportune for similar reasons like that. Things tend to go wrong in football games, whether you're the best version of yourself or the worst. That's just how it is. It seemed like things went wrong for Georgia at the worst times. The Nate Frazier fumble inside the red zone. The Trevor Etienne fumble against Notre Dame inside the red zone. Injuries. Things like that, certain penalties, certain suspensions, certain players not being available for long parts of the season because of other circumstances. It felt like everything that happened bad to Georgia this year was extremely bad because of the time it occurred.
I went with the word missing. It was missing the it factor that keeps teams glued together, that allows for ultra-competitive men to not be afraid to communicate aggressively with one another. Because that's what is required. I think in football, you have to have the ability to do what Nakobe did to Channing Tindall on national television. You have to have the ability for two alphas. First of all, it's important to have two alphas in that situation, but to have one alpha scream and mother F another one, and the other one to understand, to have the humility that this guy is doing this for the betterment of me, right? And therefore the betterment of we. I think that was missing on this football team. We talked a lot about leadership since the end of the season, but I think it was missing the cohesiveness that the rest of these football teams over the last several years have been hitting on. Man, they've been hitting on these types of things. They've really been, glued together, and I think that was missing this year.
I agree wholeheartedly. And we kind of hinted at that, and we were like, before the season even started, when they were doing, it was either media days or spring pressers, like, this is something to look out for. This could just be a complete red flag for no reason. This could just be, hey, these guys are a little less quiet. They might not have been jumped into the leadership role, but we sensed that from the start.
That was the 2024 equivalent of they're going to lead the nation in third down efficiency.
Yeah.
And I just didn't realize it. I had no idea how important that take was. And I almost want to go back and find it, but it was the biggest hole of this roster. When I came back in August and said, we just had our first media availability. Heard a lot of so-and-so left. It's my time now. So-and-so left, so I got to do it. Such and such is out of the room, so now it's my turn. That ain't how leadership works, though. No. All right. So those were the obvious missing words, rather.
I got one more.
Go ahead.
I put never dull, and I have a hyphen in there. You can call it cheating or not. But for as much, and this was the one refreshing part of the season, for as, cardiac dogs or heart attack dogs or whatever we call them throughout the regular season, it was kind of refreshing to be sitting down in a game and be having to be invested all the way up until sometimes very last play. Kentucky, Georgia Tech, even, for God's sakes, the UMass game was interesting for a little bit. Like, things like that where you're very accustomed to, okay, you know what, I got to show up, see how they play in the first 15 minutes, and then after that I can mentally check out. It was somewhat refreshing as someone who covers them and someone who has watched them for years to say, okay, every single game I come to, I have no idea what's going to happen.
I'm going to clench my cheeks.
Yeah.
You enjoyed that, huh?
I enjoy not having to be like, well, I can check out now because it's Georgia's beating Kentucky by 45 points in the third quarter. Stuff like that where it's like, you know what, that's refreshing. Obviously, you want to beat the teams that you beat. You should beat by 20 points. If you should beat Kentucky by 20 points, beat them by 20 points, don't beat them by 1. Stuff like that. But it was kind of nice to, be thoroughly entertained throughout.
All right, off-season changes you want to hear about. I got a long list right here, and I want to go first. I want to hear that leadership isn't being searched for or groomed. It's known. I want to hear midway through February, we know we got our guys. These are our guys. They're going to lead our football team this year. I want to hear about player-led workouts returning at a really high rate. That's what I want to hear about. I want to hear that I didn't even have to ask guys to come in this year. They were already here. I don't want to hear about 3 wide receivers and their quarterback going down to Florida. It's a great story. I don't want to hear about that this year. I don't want to hear about a certain guys hanging out, clicking up, going down, getting a route concepts together, throwing routes on air. I want to hear about the quarterback and every single member of the weaponry remaining on campus in June, because it matters that much to them. They don't care about summer vacation. They want to do this. I want to hear about Elijah Griffin, all right, setting the damn tone as soon as he gets there. I want to see a leaked video of Elijah Griffin in a board drill against Micah Morris. That's what I want to see. I want to see a Jalen Carter reincarnated from Elijah Griffin this offseason. I want to hear about Mike Bobo and Gunnar Stockton getting along with smiles on their damn face. I think we've talked about this on this network, but the number one thing, one of the main things, I shouldn't say the number one thing, that was leadership. One of the main things I thought was missing about this football team, you watch them win football games this year and you take photos of these guys leaving the field, I didn't see a sense of joy on their face. I saw a sense of relief in every single one of them. I saw a deep exhale of, whew, we escaped that one today. We got out of here with a win. I want to see moments of ecstatic football players again. I want to know when I go out there, the guys are having fun.
And to the credit, I think a lot of those relief and thank God looks are because you had a 1-point win against Kentucky. You had to do 8 overtimes against Georgia State. And to be fair, in their fairness, there were some joyous moments. We were in Austin. That was a very very exciting team. They had their happy moments, but for the most part, it was like, man, thank God we got out of that one alive, because we know we did not play our best game. And you don't want to see that continuously. You're absolutely right. You don't want to have a sense of relief when you play teams that you should beat by at a minimum 2 scores. So I agree with you on that. I kind of want to piggyback off what you said, because I do think that you do need to have your leaders, but I don't even necessarily need to hear that we have leaders. I just want to hear that you have absolute dogs on the roster this year. I want to hear that, and we kind of got some of this last year. We heard the tea leaves of, hey, KJ Bolden went in there and kind of took over this room. Not took it over, but really surprised a lot of people with his moxie. I want to hear 3 or 4 different of those stories of like, hey, so-and-so's doing this. This freshman kid's, he's going to make plays this year because he's just that damn good and that damn much of an alpha. I don't think there was enough of that this year. I
know a lot of Georgia fans listening to this right now are going to share this sentiment that I got right now. I want to see Kirby Smart get back to mother effing his quarterback when the quarterback F's up. That's what I want to see. I want to see visor hat throwing Kirby. Did we get a hot mic 1 this year from Kirby Smart?
As far as like in game,
I don't think we got a hot mic 1 this year.
There was a couple of clips going around of when you're walking around the practice facility, but those you always get.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about on Saturday.
No.
When the wins and losses are being determined, I want to see Kirby Smart lose his fucking mind next year on his quarterback. That's what I want to see.
Oh, those were fun times. I remember the first time I ever saw it was 2022 when I first started working for Georgia Dawgs. I was taking pictures, and he went off on Stetson Bennett, and I was just like, man, I didn't know someone could get that angry.
And not only that, it mattered every time he did it. The most angry I think I ever saw Kirby with Stetson was when he fumbled the ball trying to extend it out on a scramble against somebody, and it almost got knocked out, and it almost resulted in a touchback. And he absolutely lambasted Stetson about, being selfish, about putting the ball out with one hand and not doing it with 2 and not playing fundamental football. And then against Tennessee, 2 or 3 weeks later, very similar play. He goes 2 hands over the pylon, gets hit, would have been a fumble because he had 2 hands. It changed, right? Things changed. And look, I think a lot of that was Kirby maybe meeting his players where they need to be met. Right. Maybe I don't think Carson responds to people yelling at his face. Okay. No. I think everything from Kirby, the way he talked about that player, let us know that he is a very flat-lined approached football player. So it seemed to me that Kirby approached him with flat-line coaching. I saw Kirby defending Carson occasionally, but I never saw Kirby absolutely out here, talking about how they got the greatest quarterback in the country or how they think he's this, that, and the other. It was very much so, we like what we've got. All right. And it was very much so a flat-line approach with Carson.
Yeah. And I don't think you saw that at all this year. Like, there's usually like 1 or 2 times this season where you're like, oh, Kirby's crashing out right now. This is going to go viral. I think you saw that a little bit in the Ole Miss game when he was yelling at his defense, like, hey, we need to get together. You saw it in Bama, obviously, because of what happened. But there was never a moment where it was just like, no one go within 5 feet of that man because he might rip your head off. Like that, you didn't get that from Kirby Smart this year. And again, that was probably a very methodical approach by him. He probably did that very intentional. But I think you do need to have players where you have a coach that can feel in his most natural, comfortable state of just saying, hey, boys, get your shit together.
By the way, the offensive coordinator, been around college football for 25 years, and everybody who's ever played for that man will say to a man, I love him, but Mike Bobo is an asshole as a football coach. He is hard cut. I don't know if he was able to be himself over the last 2 years.
He was definitely himself behind closed doors.
Yeah.
There was, because against Texas in Austin, the media room obviously is shared with the coaches room.
Yeah.
So it's halftime. Obviously, they go down to the locker room for halftime and things like that. He comes up and is, I don't want to say specifically who or what, but he is very, very unhappy and is absolutely going out. If you're going to the board for the huddle guys, I've not pulled them up yet.
All right, well, let's start pulling those up. I'll tell you this. One of our favorite stories around here on this network is actually this photo of Stetson up in the top left corner. That's the last photo ever taken of Stetson Bennett in a Georgia uniform walking to the press conference after they beat TCU in the national title. And this really hammers home the fact that Kirby would give him that smoke wherever, whenever. They're walking to the press conference after having won the second national title, and Stetson's late to the press conference because he wanted to finish smoking his cigar in the locker room. Kirby Smart meets him outside of the press conference. Jonathan and I are not supposed to be there. We walked down the wrong tunnelway thinking that, no signs and whatnot. We walked down the wrong tunnelway. I watched Kirby Smart after winning the second national title with this quarterback absolutely MF Stetson Bennett like you'd never seen, like he was just a dog water quarterback. And that's just the way he approached that dude, and he certainly hadn't approached the last couple of seasons with that type of anger, if you will. All right, we got an advertisement right here. All right, this first guy up that we're going to watch is Trent Mosley.
I got you.
Okay. It's Trent Mosley. Now, Trent Mosley is a 5'11", 200-pound wide receiver. I don't exactly remember what state he is from. I think, and this is going to sound crazy, I think this is Ryan Williams. All right?
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be Ryan Williams, but this feels like Ryan Williams. And what does Ryan Williams feel like to me? Ryan Williams feels like the fastest football player on the field at all times, the quickest football player on the field at all times, the most dangerous player with the ball in his hands on the field at all times, despite the fact that he's 5'11", 6 foot, plays big. All right, really, really good contact balance as well. This guy right here, Trent Mosley, I think this tape is warranting of that type of projection for this football player. Okay,
ended up for his huddle too.
Yeah, man,
that's tough.
This guy's different. This is some of the funnest tape we're gonna watch tonight, and that includes the national stuff.
Apparently, son of Notre Dame player Emmett Mosley.
Checks out. Also about this kid, Kirby, slightly bow-legged.
Ooh.
Slightly bow-legged, and you know how I am with these bow-legged athletes.
Number one gave up on that play.
I mean, I think 5 started coasting as well. I think he knew he had the go-go juice required. All right? This is why I compared him to Ryan Williams. All right? He's got elite juice after the catch, man. He can really turn it on.
They're giving up. Holy hell.
Yeah. And these are big stadiums too. Look how far we are. So we're not on him right now on these cut-ups. This is distance speed. We're watching him for several hundred feet away, and he's running away from guys like this. He defies angles on the high school level that are absurd. He's geared down at this point. Those guys catching him, he's coasting. Now you're going to see him at running back or at Wildcat quarterback. I didn't even get this far into the film study. I watched a minute of it, and I was like, my God.
When you say Ryan Williams, it's more what he does with the ball
Correct.
in his hand. So
Correct.
It's not necessarily the ball skills in the air.
Correct.
Because Ryan Williams is insane with that.
Absolutely. And we haven't seen that on this tape. That's what's made Ryan really, really good. But the other stuff that has made Ryan good this year is the after the catch stuff that he can do. There it is.
Well, there's that.
Yeah. All right. So we've got some of this in the bag. We just showed the explosiveness first. By the way, that's 5 for 5 touchdowns. All 70-yarders, it looks like.
That's an 80-yarder right there.
Yeah. I mean, just
that ref was hustling.
Elite speed.
Shout out to the zebra, man.
From this kid. Oh, yeah, we're double moving him. Are we going to high point this football? Yeah, we are. All right, so there is Trent Mosley. I think he's a really, really good football player. To be honest with you, I don't know where Georgia stands in his recruitment. I just know that they love him. All right, they've got a really, really high evaluation on this young man. They think he's a really good football player.
Understandably so.
Now, this next guy that we're going to show you, Kirby, this next guy is arguably, oh my God, the late hands on that were absurd. Did you notice that, Kirby? He didn't flash his hands until the very last second. Can you hit me a left arrow on this?
Yeah, I got you.
Over there. Just clip it right here. I don't know if we went back far enough. Anyways, late hands are when the wide receiver, that's it right there. Late hands are when the wide receiver lets that DB, he doesn't give any indication that the ball is on us until the very last second. All right, because that's all, when DBs are in trail technique, and Kirby knows this, I don't know if the audience does, when DBs are in trail technique, meaning the wide receiver's running and they're on their back hip, all they're reading is the eyes and the hands of the wide receiver. The wide receiver's eyes go big and his hands go up. What do we know? We know the ball's coming, so we better start separating it. The really good wide receivers, as they get older and they get more developed, they start flashing those hands and eyes really, really late, particularly over those middle of the field routes. All right, now this next guy, Kirby, all right, my man's name is Zach Turner. Now, Zach Turner is a wide receiver / tight end prospect out of Duncanville High School. Zach Turner is one of the 2 highest rated tight ends on Georgia's board in 2026. He's currently a 3-star. All right. He's currently the 386th ranked player in the country.
So what I'm hearing is by the time he signs wherever that may be.
By the time he signs for a top 5 football program, this guy's going to be a top 100 athlete. So there's the timestamp. Today is January 16th of 2025. Within 6 months of this filming, I guarantee you this kid's a top 100 football player. I don't know why he isn't already based off what I'm about to show you. And we're going to get I guarantee you, we do get another commercial here.
One, I can look
up
the other two.
Go ahead and one. All right, so the reason I think Zach is a little bit underrated right now by the industry, he's not huge. Zach is about 6'1.5". He's about 200 pounds. All right.
That's Henry.
Oh, my bad. All right. But this dude has really, really special, receiving abilities and yards after the catch abilities. This guy can really freaking run. I'm getting spun around.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. This guy can really freaking run. All right. And here's the other thing. Look where he's playing, Kirby.
What's up with these edits lately?
This is where he's playing. This is Duncanville High School football. This is as big of high school football as it gets. These dudes are as good of a high school football players week in, week out as you will ever play. All right. And he's got really good talent around him. He's got a good quarterback. He's got one of the top wide receivers in the country on his roster. There's no reason why Division I coaches or 24/7 reps or on 3 reps or whoever's doing the rankings, no reason why they don't know who this kid is. All right. Especially when he's out here putting on tape like this, Kirby. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen
any
this.
Of these guys.
You're about to have your mind blown. This is a tight end doing this shit.
That's a tight end?
That's a tight end. Okay, now, granted,
sure?
He's an H. He's going to be an H. He's about 6'1.5". I just told you about 6'1.5", about 200 pounds. He's not huge, but the tape is as explosive as any tape can get. Watch him hands catch this. Watch him catch it away from his body, high point that football out there against a really, really good team in Dallas ISD. All right, now we're getting back in the slot right here, and I think we're going deep or we're going to catch one short, make a bunch of people miss. We're scoring on this, by the way, Kirby. We're scoring on this, by the way, Kirby. We are scoring on this, by the way, Kirby. All right, 338th ranked player in the country right here. Can't believe it.
They got him running as an X.
Yeah, he's going to block. He's going to block right here. He's going to do something violently.
Poor kid.
Yeah. All right. Now, that's Keelan Russell playing quarterback for him right there. All right, at Duncanville High School, the Alabama commit, 5-star. I think he's the number 3 ranked player in the country. I can't teach you that.
No, you can't.
I can't, just no different than I can't teach you to be 6'6", but I can't teach you to have that type of game speed right there.
There's not a sled heavy enough to make you that fast.
And the hands catching, dude. Everything's out in front of his body with very, very strong but soft hands. He's going to high point that ball too. 2 feet in. Good on Sundays. Zachariah Turner, ladies and gentlemen. Zachary Turner, excuse me. Zachary Turner. Now, the number one offensive tackle in America, and to be honest with you, I don't think it's particularly...
If you stand in front of camera one, I'll pull up the other two.
I don't think it's particularly close right here. This is Jackson Cantwell. Jackson Cantwell is out of the state of Missouri. This one, I would imagine, is going to get relatively expensive, especially considering he is, like I told you, from the state of Missouri. So I don't know if the Tigers are involved in this one, but this is a football player that's taken a bunch of visits recently to the University of Georgia, okay, and they're recruiting him very, very actively and very, very heavily. Now, what I love most about Jackson Cantwell's film, and if you've watched this network long enough, you know I'm an avid fan. Can you spin this all the way back to the top? Yes, you know I'm an avid fan of guys who fight to finish, all right? I'm obviously an avid fan of this dude's physical profile. He's 6'6".
158 pancakes.
And you're going to think when you see that, that's a Fugazi stat, aren't you? There's no way. Wait until I turn the tape on. This dude's 6'7". He's 330 pounds. He's got an 85-inch wingspan. Every box that there is to check, there is to check. The other thing that I love about this guy, all right? Now hold on with me. He ain't very pretty. All right, this guy ain't pretty, and I don't want my offensive lineman to be pretty. I want my offensive lineman to look like Jackson Cantwell.
Are we talking pretty as in like, wow, KJ Bolden looks beautiful? Are we talking pretty as in like, oh, walking down the street, that's a handsome man?
That one.
Okay.
Yeah, like Marcus Freeman is pretty.
Okay.
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 Amarius Mims was a pretty looking athlete.
Yes.
I'll take pretty looking athletes. I don't want pretty offensive linemen.
That's fine.
I want nasty offensive linemen.
Okay.
This dude's nasty.
Ooh,
all right.
Nasty, huh?
This dude's nasty. All right. Those 158 pancakes, you're going to realize, not a Fugazi stat. And right off first clip, you're going to notice. All right. This dude is the definition of fighting to finish. He's going to take this dude and almost hurt one of his own players. All right. The next snap, I think he puts this guy on the sideline past the first down marker.
Oh, he gives him the blindside treatment.
Yeah, buddy. We got like excessive blocking calls
hurt the coach.
coming from Jackson Cantwell. All right. Now there's a young Nigerian man from the state of Texas that's a really high rated offensive tackle as well. Ihian Agbochu or something like that. But they obviously love them both. They really love this kid. All right. I saw him on visits to Georgia, I think 3 times this year, Kirby.
Oh, he's catching.
Yeah, this is what was surprising to me.
Detroit line.
Yeah, when I first saw the tape, I immediately thought, okay, maybe a guard. But then you see that and you see the fast twitch on this human, and you're like, nah, he can play tackle. All right,
certainly,
he's gonna play tackle at a really high level.
Good Lord.
Yeah, buddy. He's violent.
The worst thing about him, and I say the worst thing because I used to be a defensive player, he's one of these guys that he doesn't care that the ball is 5 yards down the field. He doesn't care that you're not going to make the play. He's not stopping until he drives your ass in the dirt.
He's got one job. One job. Oh, my God.
He got like 3 guys.
Whew. Yeah, there is a different level of fight to finish with Jackson Cantwell. Now, here's what I don't love about Jackson Cantwell's eval. If you notice, when he goes to meet contact, he's meeting contact with his hands out. All right, which means in order to throw a shock, what do we have to do? We have to bring our hands back, and then we have to refire. Bro, run up to the next level with your DBs, your dick bitters, right here, okay? Right here, and then fire them suckers, all right? Don't be out here doing one of these, all right? Anyways, love Jackson Cantwell's tape. Really, really good football player and made up of the right stuff that I want an offensive lineman made up out of. Now, Lamar Brown, Kirby, a very interesting eval, and here's why. As we wait for this to load, don't go anywhere. Put me in one right quick. All right, now, the thing about Lamar Brown, when I saw Lamar Brown on the sheet of prospects that I got, the first thing I noticed, A, how highly he was rated by this football program at the University of Georgia, but B, his overall height and weight. He's 6'4", 280 pounds. Now, when you hear that, 6'4", 280 pounds, the first thing I think of, that's not their profile.
That's not the size.
That's not what they do. They're Jackson Cantwell recruiters. They're 6'6", 200 or 330 pound plus guys. That's what they want normally. And you have to buck the trend one of 2 ways to be outside of the physical metrics to play at the University of Georgia at this position. First and foremost, if you're not 6'6", you better have 6'6" wingspan. So if you're 6'4", you better have long arms, or you better be just an undeniably great athlete which is what Lamar Brown is. All right, this is a power forward playing offensive tackle in high school. They think he might kick inside to guard. Take a look at this tape right here. He's number 55 at right tackle. This is the best athlete in the class. I think he's got the most twitch out of any offensive lineman. This guy he could moonlight as a defensive end and be a Power 5 football player with his movement skills. He's really, really athletic, as you can see right here.
Just using your eyeball scouts, what's the height of the left guard on that offense? Or
the left tackle?
Yeah, because so far I'm looking at it, he looks like he has a pretty high stance.
Oh, no, he does stand upright in the stance. There's no doubt about it. I think the left tackle is probably like 6'3", based off what I remember looking at.
Maybe he's just towering over.
No, they're clearly they're a big offensive line, first and foremost. They got big boys. All right, he's 6'4", 280, so they're rolling pretty large up front. But no, they're clearly teaching the high two hands on the thigh board type of stance. You know what I love about that clip, Kirby? We kept our head out in that clip. All right, when I used to have an offensive line coach talk about eating your face. Okay, yeah. I want to see you eat your face. I want to see you play the offensive line position with your head out like this. Why? Because right now we're in our cheeks, aren't we? We're back here where we're strong. All right, we're eating our face. We start to play face and nose over toes. We're in a troublesome position. All right, want to eat that face.
Do y'all also do that for leverage as well? Because it's easier to get your head around on certain sides?
No. The eat your face thing is just about the stability of your core. When my head's back and my sternum and my spine is solid, right? I'm not here and concave. My spine is intact and I'm solid. You got to go through me and run through my ground force is why we do that.
Gotcha.
Eat our face.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I never was privy to the O-line techniques as much as you were, so.
A little overhand swipe on the kiddo. I like it.
See, I feel like we're going to see a kick step here. Nope.
Yeah, I'm going to see some finish, too. We're going to take him out the screen. Can I get you back in the screen on top of this dude? That would be awesome. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, who's our last guy we're watching?
Last one is Malik Morris, who I believe you have listed as a linebacker.
He is a linebacker. All right, he goes to Lakeland High School. Do you know the two football players the last 4 cycles that the University of Georgia have signed out of Lakeland High School, Kirby?
I could not tell you.
Come on, man. 2 wide receivers. Does that help you out at all?
Have signed out of Lakeland High School.
Have signed out of Lakeland High School.
I'm going to say...
One of them just graduated. One of them transferred last year.
Jackson Meeks?
Nope.
I give up.
The 2 players are Tyler Williams and Arian Smith. Both Lakeland, Florida football players.
I'm not huge on the Florida recruiting.
And I want to say Xavier Sori might have played a year at Lakeland. I want to say. Okay. All right, but here we go. This is Malik Morris. All right, so everyone knows, probably already in the chat, why aren't we watching Tyler Atkinson? Everybody and their mama knows Georgia better sign Tyler Atkinson. Everybody's trying to sign Tyler Atkinson. All right, it's between Georgia, Ohio State, and Auburn, and Texas getting in the mix there for Tyler Atkinson. Tyler Atkinson is the most guaranteed this guy will play on Sundays inside linebacker eval that has ever come out of the state of Georgia, in my opinion. All right, that includes Zayden Walker, at least that I have scouted. All right, so I didn't go back into the Roquan days. I wasn't covering the sport at that time. I was still getting my brains beat in playing it. This guy right here, Kirby, I told you before the show, I have a player comp for him. This guy reminds me of a Georgia legend at the linebacker position. I want to see how quickly you land on the name that I have landed on.
Will you give me a time frame, or do I have
recent?
Recent, okay. Oh.
By the way, he's 6'1", 225.
Fast.
He's 6'1", 225.
Tall for the position.
Actually, 6 foot, not 6'1". This is what sold the comp for me right
Let's
here.
See.
This one play.
Is that Channing Tindall?
No, it's Nakobe Dean.
That was
this guy. This guy, even his drip. Look how he tapes his wrist. This guy he looks like Nakobe Dean. All right, they have an extremely high grade on this young man, by the way. And the other thing that really sold it on me, kind of stocky, real wide hipped, all right, and really instinctual in the run game.
Looks somewhat squatted.
Look how well he played
Did you
that
see
screen
how
right there. How patient he
still he
was.
stood?
So I'm telling you, N'Kobe is the comp here for me, and I think this kid's going to be such a great Mike linebacker. Look how patient he is right there. And hits with some fire.
The reason I said Channing was because of the way he fires into the hole.
Yeah, no, he does. And look, all right, so N'Kobe had a pec injury, and at his pro day ran somewhere in the 4.8s. I think in his fastest days at an NFL combine, N'Kobe's probably running 4.65. I don't think he ran at the combine. But N'Kobe wasn't running 4.41 like Channing. N'Kobe wasn't running 4.48 like Quay. But N'Kobe's short area quickness and his box acceleration was tremendous. This kid fits the same mold. Yeah, as a spy right here. We're going to get home as a rusher right here. I like me some Malik Morris tape, okay? I think if you paired him, and I don't know if this is possible because I think both of these guys are top 70 players in the country. If you were to be able to sign Tyler Atkinson and this kid in one class, you've got your Mike and Will. This kid plays Mike, Tyler Atkinson plays Will. You roll on with it, you're good. You don't have to sign another football player in the class at that position.
It's like an EA 25 dream.
Yeah, no doubt. Just so smart. Yeah, man, I'm all over Malik Morris tape.
I like that.
I'm all over Malik Morris tape. I told you I had some dimes for you tonight, didn't I?
You did.
I didn't come up short, did I?
You went 10 for 10.
Yeah, I didn't have a bad tape one, did I?
Excuse me, 9 for 9.
9 for 9 on tapes tonight of just extremely good football players on both the national and the local scene for you guys right there. You got anything else from the curb?
That's all.
All right. Yeah, Marion has a good point right there. He did a lot of pointing out pre-snap, right? Mm-hmm. When I see communication from a high school football player, my immediate instincts are, oh, you're smart. And, oh, you clearly give a shit, right? It's not guaranteed nowadays. Appreciate you guys for being here. Love you guys. We'll be back
Tuesday.
Honestly, I think I'm going to fire up some streams from media availability down there in Atlanta.
Ooh.
I'm gonna do some solo shows. They might not be full hour longs, all right, but we're gonna crack up some content. I mean, why else would we be there? You know what I mean?
For real.
So there, I'll be down at media availability Saturday. We'll get to talk to all of the Ohio State and Notre Dame football players. We'll get joint press conferences from the football coaches Saturday and Sunday morning. All right, so I'll have some content around that for all of our subscribers that care. All right. Appreciate you for being here. I love you. I'll see you very, very soon.
Hope J. Will gets better, man.
Hope J. Will gets better. Quit hugging.